Have you ever felt as if your entire life is governed by things that have never been clearly explained? There is a mysterious book that has always been around you, but almost no one recognizes the true power it holds. If you have ever wondered if there is something more, something hidden behind what you have been taught, then right now you are about to face a truth that could change everything. Imagine this: in just the next few minutes, you will discover profound secrets about yourself and the world. Secrets that were never mentioned in school. Secrets that even society avoids. What would happen if you held the blueprint for your own life, a key that allows you to create your reality instead of just being a spectator watching from the sidelines? Are you ready? Don't look away, because this book doesn't just explain. It awakens the hidden energy and true power within you. Once you understand this, you will no longer depend on anyone's permission, and nothing will be able to stop you from moving forward. The truth has always been there. The question is, are you brave enough to look it straight in the eye and transform your life? Chapter 1. Hidden Knowledge Through the Ages. Since ancient times, true power has always resided in knowledge. However, not all knowledge is shared openly. Some truths are so powerful that if spread uncontrollably, they could cause massive upheaval or liberate people more than was deemed necessary. And so this knowledge was kept secret, encoded in symbols, passed down silently through generations, not through loud lectures, but through whispers, old manuscripts, and knowing glances. Only by those who truly seek, who are ready for change, can receive it. This is the kind of knowledge that transforms a person from a follower into a creator. Throughout history, secret societies, wise sages, and spiritual masters have been the guardians of this knowledge. Their intention was not to control the masses, but to protect sacred truths. They understood that not everyone is ready to comprehend it. If too many people were to use this knowledge for the wrong purposes, it could lead to unforeseeable consequences. Therefore, it was wrapped in parables hidden beneath the veil of mythology, accessible only to those with sufficient sincerity and wisdom to find it. There are books that do more than just convey information. They help the reader see into themselves, awakening abilities that have long been dormant within. They appear at the very moment you begin to question your life, when you stand on the threshold of change. This is no coincidence. It is the moment your inner readiness speaks up. From ancient Egypt, Vedic India and Greece, with its Hermetic philosophy, to indigenous tribes, Sufi mystics, and Gnostic schools within Christianity, traces of this fundamental truth appear everywhere. It is your own energy frequency that dictates how the world responds to you. The idea that energy, thoughts, and beliefs can influence the world around us is not a modern discovery. It is ancient. It's just that these truths were once hidden beneath layers of rituals, legends, and stories to prevent them from being distorted or abused. Sometimes this knowledge was revealed, but was misunderstood or even feared. Over the centuries, systems of power like governments, churches, and empires have tried to control and even erase this knowledge. They didn't do this because they didn't believe in it, but precisely because they were well aware of the threat these ideas pose to their own authority. When a person understands they can create their own reality, they no longer need permission from anyone, which is a truly frightening prospect for those at the top of these systems. The remaining books on this subject are scattered and unsystematic. Some are widely known, but rarely understood. Others appear anonymously with no known author, no origin, and no explanation. But if you approach them with an open mind, you will begin to notice recurring patterns. They all lead back to a single universal truth. Reality is like a mirror, and the source lies within you. These sacred texts use symbols not to be puzzling, but to preserve their core value. Symbols speak to the subconscious, bypassing the barriers of the rational mind, helping to awaken the deep understanding that already exists within each person. That is why these symbols can endure through time. An image of a pyramid is not just a structure. It contains calculations for harmonizing energy. The image of a snake is not just an animal. It is a metaphor for shedding the old for transformation and renewal. The guardians of this knowledge were not trying to be mysterious. They were simply being cautious. Because not everyone is ready to receive this understanding without first having disciplined themselves. Therefore, the journey to discover this knowledge has always required each person to undergo a process of discipline, introspection, and listening to the silence within. This hidden knowledge was never meant to be buried forever, but was reserved for those who seek it with a sincere heart. It is not about joining a secret organization or deciphering ancient codes, but about the journey of attuning your consciousness to align with the truth. When you are truly in tune, all the secrets will naturally reveal themselves, like a map being drawn in the very moment you are living. Many people have read these books and quickly dismiss them as fantasy or philosophy detached from reality. But for those who have awakened, they are the guidebooks for creating reality. You will only truly understand when you stop and listen, not just with your eyes, but with your own feelings. Then you will realize what has always been present. This is not magic or superstition. It is the living frequency of your own being. This is also why, even if you have never heard of these ideas before, they feel familiar, because deep down you once knew them. Receiving this knowledge is like an act of remembering, of reconnecting with the part of your consciousness that never forgets with your own eternal self. These truths transcend all religious, cultural, and linguistic boundaries. They belong to no one, yet they are for everyone. That is why, despite the storms of history, despite the many ideologies and powers that have tried to erase them, they could never be completely destroyed. Because this knowledge exists in a vibrational frequency in the silent space that only those who are ready can perceive. Just one moment of doubt about what you have been taught is enough to crack open a new door. Sometimes a fleeting sense of curiosity or intuition is all it takes to change everything. When that door opens, you will see the universe begin to send you signs. Books suddenly appear at the right time. A certain phrase is spoken at the perfect moment. New people unexpectedly walk into your life. None of this is a coincidence. It is resonance, a response to the readiness within you. That journey doesn't begin with reading, but originates from a deep resonance within your soul. As you listen to these words, you may notice a strange yet familiar feeling within you. It's not just curiosity, but a deep resonance, as if a string in your soul has been gently plucked, affirming that this is what you have been searching for. It is the deep memory of your soul guiding you back to a long-forgotten truth. That is why this book has appeared at this exact moment in your life. You did not find it by chance. In truth, it chose you because you are now ready to remember to shed the limitations that were placed upon you and to reclaim what was once buried, diluted, or denied. This is not merely a process of learning. It is a journey of awakening. The language this book uses is a vibrational frequency, so it cannot be absorbed through traditional methods. You don't need to try to memorize every detail. Instead, allow yourself to feel it, to let that energy move through you, to let it gradually change your inner state. This world has become chaotic because most people live disconnected from this deep knowledge. They chase illusions. They use force to control everything instead of seeking harmony. But once you find the truth within yourself, all conflicts will become clear and all difficulties will transform into a gentle release. From ancient times to the present, every culture has had its own way of transmitting this knowledge. But the core message has never changed. You are not separate from the universe. You are not a victim of fate, but a co-creator dancing with the flow of energy. And you can absolutely learn step by step. This book is the music for your dance. As you continue to explore the following chapters, you will notice a shift. The way you perceive time, the people around you, and even your own emotions will gradually change. This is not just awareness, it is an activation within you. You are being tuned to a higher frequency. Do not rush. Hidden knowledge is not something that can be hastily consumed. It requires deep listening, feeling it bit by bit. Let each idea soak in, take time to reflect, to feel, and to allow yourself to be guided. You are not memorizing information. You are restructuring your inner energy. This journey requires patience, presence, and faith. Consider this a confirmation. You are not born to live without knowing your own power. The truth has always been whispering behind the well-trodden paths, hiding behind the noise of daily life. Now you are ready to listen, to see what was once hidden in plain sight. This is the moment your journey of remembrance begins. Chapter 2. The Real Structure of Reality. What you see is not all there is. Reality as it's presented to your physical senses is only a sufficer-thin veil masking the infinite layers beneath. Behind every object, thought, and moment is a field of unseen energy, vibrating with information. The material world is not the cause, it's the effect. True reality isn't built with bricks or boundaries, but with frequency, focus, and belief. Your consciousness is not inside reality, it's projecting it. From a quantum perspective, everything is energy, vibrating at different frequencies. What appears solid is actually a dance of particles in space held together by invisible forces. The structure of reality is not stable or fixed. It's fluid, responsive, and alive. It's shaped by the observer, which means you are not a passive witness, but a participant in the creation of your world. Every thought you think is a blueprint shaping the matter around you. Reality responds to the dominant signal you emit. This signal is not just your words or actions, it's your inner state, your emotions, your expectations. The universe operates like a mirror, not showing you what you want, but who you are being. If you walk in fear, you encounter resistance. If you move in alignment, you witness flow. You don't see life as it is, you see life as you are. There is no objective, one-size-fits-all reality. Every person lives in their own energetic version of the world, shaped by their beliefs, experiences, and unconscious patterns. This is why two people can go through the same event and walk away with entirely different truths. Reality bends to perspective. The structure of your reality is built with the scaffolding of your focus. Where attention goes, creation follows. Thoughts are not passive. They are electric signals that interact with the quantum field, imprinting instructions into the invisible fabric of the universe. Emotions add the magnetic charge that draws these patterns into form. This electric magnetic dance is the real architecture of manifestation. Your reality is built by repeated thoughts fused with feeling. Change the design and the structure changes too. The present moment is your access point to the real structure of reality, not the past, which is memory, not the future, which is potential. Only the now carries the code to creation. In this moment, you can align, redirect, or completely reshape your frequency. Your entire reality can shift by shifting your state of being now. It doesn't require time. It requires presence and intention. The real structure of reality is not made of matter, but meaning. Meaning is the organizing force behind everything you experience. What you assign meaning to becomes dominant in your awareness, and your awareness is what activates the field around you. It's not what happens to you. It's what you believe about what happens. Your interpretation becomes your environment. The subconscious mind is the architect working behind the scenes. While your conscious mind decides what it wants, your subconscious holds the blueprints you have accepted as true, often without question. These internal structures silently guide your perception and attract experiences that validate them. To shift your reality, you must update the core beliefs hidden in the foundation. You are not trapped by circumstance. You are held in place by unconscious agreement. Agreements with limitation, with fear, with unworthiness. These agreements are not facts, they are frequencies. When you break the contract with your old identity, you release the signal that sustains it. A new reality cannot emerge until the old one is no longer being funded by your focus. Reality is not linear. Time is a tool, not a law. You can collapse timelines and shift outcomes by tuning into a different version of yourself that already exists. Every possibility is alive in the quantum field, waiting to be observed and embodied. The future you desire is not distant. It is dormant, waiting to be activated by your alignment, not your effort. Patterns create structure, and most people live in repeated patterns, unconsciously rebuilding the same emotional home day after day. But when you become aware of the pattern, you gain power over the structure. You are not your past. You are the pattern maker. By introducing new thoughts, new emotions, and new behavior, you disrupt the loop and open space for a new design. The real structure of reality honors frequency more than force. This means no amount of pushing, stressing, or controlling can build what alignment effortlessly attracts. The more attuned you are to your inner guidance, the less resistance you meet. Life organizes around energy. When your inner state rises, the outer structures realign to match it. That is the real law in motion. Your words are also architects. Every phrase you repeat builds a mental framework. Saying I can't creates a wall. Saying it's possible opens a doorway. The structure of your inner conversation becomes the shape of your life. Speak as if the reality you want already exists, not because you're lying, but because you're tuning yourself to the frequency that creates it. Reality is not status, it's participatory. Every moment is a construction site. Your attention, emotions, and beliefs are the tools. The more consciously you engage with them, the more deliberate your creation becomes. When you take responsibility for your internal world, your external world begins to mirror a new structure. Own built on awareness, not autopilot. The real structure of reality is not found outside of you. It emerges from within. You are the designer, the builder, and the dweller of your experience. Nothing is set in stone unless you keep reinforcing it with your focus. When you learn to see beyond appearances, when you trust the unseen forces shaping all things, you awaken as the creator, not just of a life, but of a new reality itself. Chapter 3, Why You Were Never Taught This. From the moment you entered the system, school, society, culture, you were trained to look outward for truth, value, and permission. You were not taught to question the rules of reality, only to follow them, memorize, conform, perform. But the deeper laws that govern your potential, your energy, and your ability to shape life from within those were never mentioned, not because they don't exist, but because empowered minds don't obey. You were raised in a world that profits from your disconnection. If you knew that your thoughts carry power, that your feelings shape matter, and that you are constantly influencing the field around you, you'd no longer be controllable. You'd be free, but control needs compliance, and compliance is easiest when people are taught they're small, powerless, and dependent on authority for truth. The truth was never hidden because it was dangerous. It was hidden because it was liberating. Institutions are built on predictability, but an awakened mind tuned into its own frequency disrupts the system. Imagine millions realizing they can heal, manifest, and rise without permission, products, or validation. The system doesn't fear rebellion. It fears realization. You weren't taught how energy works because you were trained to live in reaction, not creation. You were taught to chase outcomes, not align with them, to seek validation, not radiate worth. If they taught you that your inner state creates your outer world, the game would end. You'd stop giving your power away and start creating from within. That's the shift they never wanted you to discover. Instead of teaching you about frequency, vibration, and conscious manifestation, they taught you to obey linear time and chase success through struggle. But the quantum field doesn't operate by time, it operates by resonance. The more aligned you are internally, the faster reality conforms. But that wisdom was replaced with effort-based thinking, keeping you working harder instead of tuning deeper. You were taught facts, not truths. Facts belong to the physical, truths belong to the energetic. They told you the world is solid, separate, and ruled by logic. But reality is malleable, connected, and shaped by awareness. The deeper laws were never denied, they were ignored. And in that silence, an entire generation grew up thinking their power was outside of them. Even in science, what was once called mysticism is now being validated through quantum theory. But you weren't given that bridge. You were told to trust the surface, don't question the curriculum, don't ask how thoughts influence outcomes. Just get the grade, follow the path, and hope for meaning at the end. But meaning was always available. Had they taught you to look within, you were never told that your nervous system is a frequency receiver, that your beliefs tune your signal, that your body responds to energy before it responds to logic. Instead, you were taught to suppress, disconnect, and cope. Emotional intelligence was skipped. Self-regulation was ignored because a grounded, emotionally clear person is impossible to manipulate. You weren't shown how your subconscious writes your life story. They left you unaware that your earliest experiences built your reality's blueprint. They didn't want you to revisit those programs or rewrite them. That would mean waking up. And someone in awake is not just aware they're powerful. And someone powerful doesn't live on autopilot. They create intentionally. The silence wasn't accidental, it was strategic. By keeping you focused on survival instead of expansion, they kept you from noticing your creative nature. You weren't broken, you were distracted. Distracted by fear, noise, rules, and endless comparison, all to keep you outside yourself, never realizing that everything you sought was always encoded within you. You weren't taught the laws of resonance, attraction, or coherence because those who control the narrative benefit from chaos. When people live in survival mode, they become predictable. But when you learn to tune into peace, clarity, and purpose, you stop reacting and start creating. And that kind of clarity terrifies a system built on noise. They taught you to fear the unknown, when in truth, the unknown is where all transformation happens. They taught you to avoid risk when your soul came here to expand. They didn't teach you how to trust your intuition, how to feel energy, or how to follow inner guidance, because those skills make you sovereign. And sovereignty doesn't serve the machine. Even religion in many cases was filtered through fear and hierarchy instead of empowerment and direct experience. You weren't taught that you are a divine expression of universal energy. You were taught separation, guilt, and judgment. The mystical direct connection to source was replaced with intermediaries, rituals, and rules. They removed the power from within and sold it back as doctrine. They taught you how to fit in, not how to wake up. You were groomed for comfort, not awareness. But comfort never leads to truth, only disruption does. The truth shakes your foundation before it rebuilds it. That's why you were never taught it in school, on the news, or in most traditions. Because truth isn't easy to digest, it's powerful. And power once felt cannot be silenced. But now you're remembering, piece by piece, insight by insight, you're rebuilding what was hidden. You are not here to follow. You're here to remember, to awaken, and to create. The knowledge was never lost. It was always within you, waiting for the moment you were ready to reclaim it. And that moment is now. Chapter 4. Energy, vibration, and truth. Everything is energy, not just the air or the stars, but your thoughts, your emotions. Your words each emits a frequency. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal. Science has already proven that beneath all matter lies motion, vibration, and frequency. You are not just a body walking through the world. You are a signal broadcasting every second. And the quality of your energy shapes the quality of your reality. Your vibration is the invisible language you speak before you ever say a word. People feel your energy more than they hear your opinions. That's why someone can walk into a room and change the atmosphere without saying anything. It's not magic, it's resonance. You attract and repel based on how you vibrate. And your vibration is shaped by what you believe, feel, and hold in your subconscious. Truth is not just found in words, it lives in frequency. That's why you can hear a lie that sounds convincing, but still feel uneasy. Your body knows when something is off, even if your mind can't explain it. This is the intelligence of energy. Truth has a frequency that cuts through confusion. When you're aligned with truth, your energy becomes magnetic, clear, and powerful. High vibration isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being aligned. It's about living in truth, not pretending. It means feeling deeply, expressing honestly, and returning to inner harmony. Your vibration rises not because you suppress your pain, but because you process it and rise anyway. Alignment with truth lifts you naturally, pretending weighs you down. Your emotions are energetic indicators. They are not just moods, they're feedback. Fear contracts your energy. Gratitude expands it. Shame lowers your frequency. Joy elevates it. When you start listening to how you feel, not to judge it, but to understand it, you begin navigating life with precision. Energy is always telling you, Pampasun, you just have to pay attention. When your vibration is low, you feel stuck, disconnected, reactive. That's not because you're broken, it's because you're misaligned. Your energy is out of sync with your truth, and truth is not what others told you. It's what feels like peace in your nervous system. The more you tune into that peace, the more your vibration begins to shift upward without force. The world around you is a mirror of your energetic state, not to punish, but to reflect. When you're in a low vibration, you often meet resistance, chaos, or stagnation. When your energy is clear, aligned, and elevated, you begin noticing synchronicities, flow, and unexpected blessings. Life meets you where you are. It listens to your frequency, not your words. Truth doesn't need validation. It holds power without proof. That's why when you speak from your core, when your energy aligns with your words, people feel it. You don't have to convince anyone. The energy carries it. The vibration of truth cuts through noise, through doubt, through conditioning. That's why the most powerful people don't always speak the most. They just radiate clarity. Vibration is a choice, but only when you become conscious of it. Most people live on auto frequency, reacting to life instead of creating it. But when you choose to become the source, when you decide to consciously raise your state, shift your perspective, and honor your truth, you stop echoing the world and start shaping it. That's when life begins to shift with you. You don't need to chase things. You need to become the frequency of what you desire. Everything is already in the field, vibrating at its unique level. The only question is, are you a match for it? You don't attract what you want. you attract what you are. Change your energy and the reality around you adjusts to meet your new vibration. Silence is where energy speaks loudest. When you quiet the noise, your true vibration reveals itself. This is why solitude meditation and reflection are powerful. They help you tune back into your signal away from interference. In that space, you remember who you are. And remembering who you are is the most powerful frequency you can emit. The body holds energy too. Trauma and unprocessed emotions, old beliefs, all of it stores in your system and affects your vibration. That's why healing isn't just emotional, it's energetic. Every time you release something heavy, you make room for more light. Every time you forgive, you rise. Every layer cleared makes your truth more accessible and your energy more radiant. Living in high vibration doesn't mean life won't challenge you. It means those challenges no longer knock you out of alignment. You return to your center faster. You make decisions from clarity, not chaos. And your presence becomes a tuning fork for others. You don't just protect your peace, you become peace. That's the true power of energy and truth in motion. There is no need to prove your vibration. Energy speaks louder than appearance. When you are true to yourself, when your heart and actions align, when your presence uplifts instead of drains, you're living in truth. That truth may not always be understood, but it will always be felt. And that feeling creates more impact than words ever could. The journey isn't to chase high vibe sites, to live honestly, to align with your truth in every moment, and trust that this alignment raises you, that your energy is your message, that your vibration introduces you before you speak. And when you live in truth, your presence becomes your power, radiating silently, shaping reality, one frequency at a time. When you begin to trust energy more than appearances, everything changes. You stop being fooled by surface impressions and start feeling your way through situations. What looks perfect on the outside may carry a chaotic frequency underneath, and what seems uncertain or unconventional may carry deep alignment. Energy never leaves it, only waits for you to notice. You can shift your entire life by shifting your energy first, not by changing your job, your city, or your appearance, but by adjusting your internal frequency. You could be surrounded by the same people, same environment, same routine, and yet experience it completely differently when your vibration is elevated, because the lens you perceive through is your vibration, not your eyesight. The truth doesn't always come as a lightning bolt. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet knowing, a gentle but undeniable clarity that lives in the body, not the mind. You just feel it. You sense when something aligns and when something is off. That subtle awareness is your compass. When you follow it, you walk in truth. When you ignore it, you pay with energy. Most people are exhausted not from doing too much, but from doing what doesn't align. Misalignment drains. Every time you say yes when your energy says no, you chip away at your vibration. You become split scattered. But when you honor your inner truth, you become focused, stronghold. Alignment is energy conservation. And alignment always amplifies power. Environments carry energy too. Rooms remember what happened in them. People leave behind energetic imprints. That's why some spaces uplift you while others feel heavy. When you begin to sense energy, you realize how much you were absorbing unconsciously. And as you become more aware, you also become more intentional about where you go and who you allow into your space. Your words are spells in motion. They carry the vibration of your inner world. Speaking with truth amplifies your frequency. Speaking from fear or guilt lowers it. This is why silence is sometimes more powerful than speech. It protects your vibration when the words aren't ready. Speak when your energy is clean, and your words will carry power without needing volume. Energy is contagious. When you stay grounded in your truth, your vibration stabilizes not only your experience, but the energy of those around you. People may not understand why they feel better in your presence, but they'll feel it because a high vibration doesn't need explanation. It simply shifts the field, and your presence becomes a healing frequency. Your vibration is not something you fake. It's something you embody. It's not a performance. It's a state. You can't trick the universe with words that don't match your signal. You can't declare abundance while vibrating in lack. You must become the embodiment of what you desire. When your energy matches your vision, reality moves to meet you. Truth often feels like peace, not excitement, not drama, just a deep, grounded clarity. When something is right, your nervous system relaxes. Your breath deepens. You feel safe in your body. That's alignment. When something is false or misaligned, it creates friction. You feel anxious, uncertain, or contracted. Learn to trust those signals. They are your most honest guides. Vibration is not about perfection. It's about presence, staying attuned to your energy, moment by moment, returning when you drift, grounding when you float, rising when you fall. It's a practice, not a destination. And the more you live in that practice, the more naturally your life begins to organize around harmony rather than chaos. Healing is the journey of removing everything that distorts your vibration. It's not about becoming something new. It's about returning to the purity of who you already are. Every unhealed wound carries a frequency. Every unresolved belief emits a signal. As you do the inner work, you don't just feel better. You literally change the signal you're sending out. The universe responds to energy, not words. You can say all the affirmations, do all the rituals, and still stay stuck if your underlying energy contradicts your actions. But the moment your frequency truly shifts, things start moving. People call, opportunities open, coincidences align. Energy sets the stage. Action follows frequency. There are no secrets, only frequencies you haven't tuned into yet. Wisdom, clarity, healing, and insight already exist in the field, but you can only access them when you're vibrating at a compatible level. That's why inspiration often strikes when you're calm, joyful, or present. High-frequency states are portals to higher knowledge. To protect your energy is to protect your future. Not everyone is meant to access your frequency. Some people feed it, others drain it. When you stop giving energy to people who aren't aligned, you create space for those who are. Boundaries aren't walls, they're frequency filters. They ensure that your energy is met with mutual respect. There is no need to rush your vibration upward. Forcing positivity is a form of resistance. True frequency elevation happens through self-acceptance, not denial. Embrace where you are, feel it fully, and then choose again. Each choice, each breath is a recalibration. And the gentler you are with yourself, the faster you rise. Energy is the currency of the unseen. Every thought is a transaction. Every feeling is an investment. Ask yourself, what am I funding with my energy today? What story, what version of myself, what outcome am I feeding? When you become energetically conscious, you spend your energy wisely and life begins to reward your clarity. The most magnetic people are not the loudest. They're the most aligned. They're not trying to impress. They're just being. Their authenticity emits a frequency that draws in what's meant for them. That's the power of energetic congruence. When your inner world matches your outer expression, your vibration becomes undeniable. Even the smallest shifts in energy ripple outward. A moment of gratitude can dissolve fear. A decision to forgive can lift years of weight. A single choice to walk in truth can transform your entire vibration. Don't underestimate the small internal moves. They are the architects of massive external change. Your energy is always evolving. You're not the same person you were a year ago, a week ago, even a moment ago. Every breath is a chance to upgrade. Every thought is an invitation to shift. You're not stuck. You're vibrating. And every vibration is a message to the universe about what you're ready to experience next. Truth in its purest form doesn't just inform, it transforms. When you live in truth, your vibration becomes a frequency of freedom. And in that freedom, you attract not what you chase, but what you are. Because in the end, energy never lies. And your truth lived fully is the highest vibration there is. Chapter 5. The law that governs all creation. There is one law beneath all creation. A law so fundamental it operates through every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of becoming. This is not a law written in books or enforced by systems. It's the law of vibration. Before form exists, there is frequency. Before matter appears, there is movement. All that you experience in this physical world began as energy vibrating into form through consciousness. The law of vibration is the silent architect of the universe. It states that everything in existence, seen or unseen, is in a constant state of motion. Nothing is truly still. Your thoughts vibrate. Your emotions pulse. Even your identity emits a frequency. This means you are not separate from creation. You are creation in motion, constantly broadcasting and receiving energy. This law governs attraction, not by what you want, but by what you are. The vibration you hold, whether knowingly or unconsciously, determines the experiences you attract. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you're in resonance with. Resonance is the true language of creation. If you want to change your world, you must first change your frequency. Every desire you hold exists on a frequency. The love you seek, the abundance you crave, the peace you yearn for. They are not far away, but vibrating at levels that may not match your current state. When you raise your vibration, you don't chase your desires, you meet them. The law of vibration brings you into alignment with what already exists. Creation doesn't begin with effort, it begins with energy. When your inner state aligns with your vision, action becomes an extension of resonance, not resistance. Most people exhaust themselves trying to force outcomes, unaware that the field is waiting for them to tune in. Once you align, the universe begins to orchestrate with precision and ease. The law of vibration is impartial. It doesn't judge good or bad, worthy or unworthy. It simply reflects. If you vibrate in fear, it reflects more reasons to fear. If you vibrate in trust, it delivers experiences that affirm your faith. This is not punishment, it's feedback. Life is constantly echoing your energetic signal moment by moment. You are never being tested, you are being mirrored. The outer world is responding to your dominant inner state. If you feel stuck, look inward. What signal are you sending? What frequency are you embodying? This is not about blame, it's about reclaiming power, because once you understand the mirror, or you can use it to refine your energy and reshape your reality. Most people live by default, not design. They repeat old emotional frequencies without realizing those patterns are constructing their future. But when you wake up to the law of vibration, you move from unconscious creation to conscious mastery. You become the artist, not the canvas. You shift from reacting to designing. The law works whether you know it or not. Ignorance doesn't stop it. Only awareness can harness it. Just as gravity doesn't disappear if you deny it, vibration doesn't stop influencing reality if you ignore it. It continues shaping your life quietly, subtly, powerfully. Awareness of this law is the first step toward freedom. Thoughts alone do not create emotion charges, a signal. You can think about wealth all day, but if you feel scarcity in your core, your vibration speaks louder than your words. That's why deep inner alignment is required. You must feel as if it's already yours, even before evidence arrives, because the law responds to frequency, not fantasy. The law of vibration works through clarity. Confused signals lead to results. If one moment you believe in abundance and the next you spiral into doubt, the field receives mixed instructions. But when your belief becomes unwavering, when your inner state remains steady, the field organizes quickly. Reality stabilizes around energetic certainty. Time is not the creator, vibration is. Waiting doesn't bring a manifestation, alignment does. You could be working for years without results because your vibration remains out of sync, and you could experience breakthroughs overnight once your frequency aligns. The law doesn't need time, it needs coherence between your state and your vision. Creation is not about deserving, it's about allowing. Many hold the vibration of unworthiness, unknowingly pushing away what they claim to want. But the universe isn't withholding, it's waiting. The moment you release the internal block, the flow returns. You were never being denied. You were just not yet a match for the thing you desired. Every moment is a chance to recalibrate. You don't have to wait for a new week, a new year, or a fresh start. Energy responds now. In this breath and this choice, you can shift your vibration. And when your vibration changes, so does your trajectory. One internal pivot can alter the entire path of your life. Vibration builds momentum. The more often you embody a high-frequency peace, gratitude, joy, the more natural it becomes. You begin to live there. It becomes your baseline. And from that baseline, new realities form effortlessly and continuously. You don't need to force miracles. You need to become the version of you that lives among them. This law explains why change doesn't stick when it's only on the surface. You can change your habits, appearance, or words, but if the vibration underneath remains the same, the results are temporary. True transformation happens when the energetic foundation shifts. The inner change always precedes the outer result. The field is intelligent. It doesn't just respond to what you do, it responds to who you are being. That's why alignment is magnetic. When you're deeply in truth, you don't need to persuade. Life bends to meet your frequency. People notice, opportunities arise, flow returns, because the universe recognizes energy before it recognizes effort. Your vibration doesn't lie. You can speak confidence and still vibrate in security. You can say you trust and still emit fear, but once your inner world matches your outer expression, you move with power. That congruence is rare and irresistible. It's the hallmark of authentic creation, the product of inner work and energetic clarity. This law teaches that you don't manifest with your mind, you manifest with your being. You must become the version of you who already has it. Feel it, live it, breathe it before it shows up. Because the field doesn't give you what you long for, it gives you what you consistently embody. Creation is not an event, it's a constant process. You are creating in every thought, every mood, every choice. There is no pause button. The question is not whether you are manifesting, but what you are manifesting. And that answer can always be traced back to the vibration you are currently holding. The law of vibration is not here to punish or reward. It's here to reflect, to guide, to reveal. It's the most honest mirror you'll ever encounter. And the more you learn to read it, the more deliberate your life becomes. You are not here to suffer under the randomness of life. You are here to master the signal and shape reality from the inside out. And so the power is not out there. It never was. It's within you in the quiet currents of your vibration, in the subtle tuning of your energy. When you live in harmony with this law, you no longer chase life, you create it. You no longer wait, you align. Because the law that governs all creation doesn't ask what you want, it responds to what you are. The universe is not moved by desperation. It responds to energetic clarity. Wanting something desperately may signal to the field that you believe it's far away, out of reach, or unavailable. That's the vibration you send. But when you embody calm certainty as though it's already on its way, the frequency shifts entirely. Creation begins when you no longer doubt the delivery. Your beliefs are the silent codes behind your vibration. Every belief you carry about money, love, success, worth emits a signal. The law of vibration amplifies these beliefs into the quantum field, which organizes reality accordingly. You cannot hold a deep belief in lack and expect abundance to flow freely. You must upgrade the internal story for the external world to change. The law is always active even when you're unaware of it. That's why unconscious creation is so common. People keep reliving the same problems, not because they want to, but because they're vibrating at the same level as the old story. Until you choose to consciously elevate your frequency, the movie doesn't change. It just plays on repeat, scene after scene. Resistance slows the current. When you doubt, fear, or second-guess yourself, you create energetic friction. That friction delays what could otherwise flow naturally. This is why surrender is so powerful, not because you give up, but because you stop fighting the frequency. When you release resistance, you allow what's already aligned to move towards you. Your desires were given to you for a reason. They are not random. They are echoes from a future that already exists in potential form. When you tune your vibration to that future, you collapse the timeline. You meet the version of life that was waiting for your energetic readiness. Desire is not the problem. Dissonance is. The law of vibration works best through embodiment. You must live as though what you desire is already part of your state. Speak from it. Act from it. Breathe from it. This is not pretending, it's aligning. The field does not read effort. It reads frequency. And frequency comes not from what you do occasionally, but from who you are consistently. Stillness is powerful under this law. In stillness, you return to your natural frequency. You recalibrate. You listen. In the noise of doing, you often forget the truth of being. But when you pause, feel, and breathe, you remember your essence. That remembrance is healing, and healing raises your vibration without force. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to shift your frequency. It tells the universe, I already recognize the good. I'm already tuned to abundance. Gratitude unlocks the flow not because it tricks the field, but because it matches the vibration of receiving. You can't vibrate in lack and expect blessings. Gratitude becomes the gateway. Intuition is your internal frequency detector. It tells you when something resonates and when it doesn't. Often people override this wisdom because it doesn't match their logic. But logic is based on the known and vibration works through the unknown. Trusting intuition is trusting the deeper signal, the one that knows before you know. You're not meant to control creation. You're meant to co-create through alignment. Control comes from fear. Alignment comes from trust. When you over-control, you disrupt the natural rhythm. But when you align and allow the field moves with grace, you become a magnet instead of a chaser, a conductor instead of a struggler. Energy is always communicating before form takes shape. You might feel a shift, a pull, a quiet nudge before anything physical appears. These are vibrational previews. Most people miss them because they're looking for results, not resonance. But if you learn to follow frequency instead of form, you'll always be ahead of the curve. Nothing is random when seen through the lens of vibration. People, places, events, they all match your current frequency. The same room that feels magical to one person can feel draining to another, based solely on vibration. When you shift, your entire experience of the world shifts. It's not the world that changes, it's how you're tuned to receive it. The law of vibration connects everything. You're not a separate being in a lifeless universe. You are an extension of the field constantly influencing and being influenced. Your energy contributes to the collective. When you raise your vibration, you not only change your life, you elevate the entire grid of consciousness around you. Faith is another word for frequency alignment. To have faith is to believe in the unseen, to trust what hasn't yet manifested, and to hold the energy of certainty. This isn't blind hope. It's intentional creation. Faith stabilizes vibration. It keeps your signal clear even when the world hasn't caught up yet. Shifting your vibration doesn't mean faking it. It means choosing it. Choosing peace over panic, presence over projection, truth over convenience. It's about tuning your internal state even when the external isn't perfect. That internal shift is where creation begins, and from that place, miracles become logical outcomes. Judgment lowers vibration. The more you criticize yourself or others, the more fragmented your frequency becomes. Compassion, on the other hand, expands your field. When you accept what is without resistance, you open the flow. Acceptance is not weakness, it's energetic mastery. It creates the space for things to transform. Fear is not the enemy, it's a signal. It's showing you where your vibration is out of sync with your vision. Instead of suppressing it, decode it. Ask, what am I believing that's causing this contraction? When you trace fear to its root, you reclaim power. Awareness transmutes fear into clarity, and clarity raises your vibration. Alignment feels like flow. It's not forced. It doesn't drain. It uplifts. When you're aligned, doors open, people respond, life moves. Not because of luck, but because your frequency is in harmony with your path. You become an energetic match for ease, and ease becomes your new normal. You don't need to fix yourself to raise your vibration. You need to remember yourself. At your core, you already vibrate with truth, power, and clarity. The work is not to become more, but to release the layers that distort your signal. When you let go of false identities, your true vibration rises naturally. The law of vibration is not about doing more, it's about being more attuned. When your inner state is clean, calm, and clear, your outer world adjusts without effort. Creation becomes less about hustle and more about harmony. And in that harmony, you find not just results, but peace, purpose, and alignment. You are not separate from the law. You are the law in motion. You are the vibration shaping your story, the frequency writing your future. When you finally realize that everything is energy and that your energy is the starting point of all creation, you stop waiting for change and you begin becoming it. Chapter 6, the book's forgotten wisdom. There are books you read with your eyes, and then there are books you feel with your soul. The wisdom we speak of here isn't printed in bestsellers or found in store windows. It's ancient, eternal, and alive. The book we refer to has been passed not through institutions, but through intuition, whispered through time, hidden in plain sight, waiting for remembrance, not discovery. This book holds the blueprint of your power. It teaches not by pages, but by resonance. Its verses are written in vibration, not ink. It doesn't shout to be heard. It waits for stillness. When you become quiet enough, present enough, the knowledge rises not as information, but as inner knowing. This is the kind of wisdom you don't learn, you remember it. The forgotten wisdom is not forgotten because it vanished. It was buried under systems that favored obedience over awareness, covered by generations of fear-based teachings and surface-level truths. What could not be controlled was labeled dangerous, and so the sacred became secret. Not because it was irrelevant, but because it was powerful. Inside this book lies the understanding that you are the creator, not the creation. That the divine is not distant, or external, it is encoded within you. The pages teach that thoughts are frequencies, that emotions are portals, that the body is a temple for transformation. This is not metaphor. This is the original technology of the soul. The wisdom speaks of alignment over ambition. It says that what is truly yours doesn't come through foresight, comes through frequency. It reminds you that manifestation is not a trick, but a return to natural order. You don't need to beg the universe. You only need to remember your place in it. When you vibrate in truth, life responds with grace. One of the great teachings hidden in this forgotten book is that the heart is a transmitter. It sends signals stronger than the mind. It knows beyond logic. When you follow its guidance, you are not being emotional. You are being energetically accurate. The wisdom of the heart was never weakness. It was the key to higher alignment. The book teaches in symbols and silence. Its truths are not spoon-fed. They are activated. Sometimes a word will awaken you. Other times it will be a feeling, a vision, or a synchronicity. That's how this wisdom moves. It meets you where you are, then calls you higher. The more open you become, the deeper the book reveals itself. Many seekers search for the next method, the next course, the next teacher, unaware that the truest guidance is already encoded within them. The forgotten book is not somewhere else. It is within you, in your breath, your intuition, your dreams. You are not just the reader, you are the page. The wisdom was never out of reach. It was waiting for your readiness. This ancient knowledge reveals that truth is not a system. It's a frequency that every soul carries its own signature truth, and your life is the process of remembering it. The forgotten book does not demand conformity, yet celebrates authenticity. It says your power comes not from following another's truth, but from owning your own. One of the sacred truths within the book is that healing is remembrance. You are not becoming whole, you are returning to wholeness. Trauma did not break you, it buried you. But as you feel release and rise, you reconnect to what was never lost and hidden. Healing is not fixing, it's recovering your original vibration. The book whispers that the unseen is more real than the seen, that what you cannot touch often touches you the most. It teaches you to sense the world through energy, not just logic, to trust the pulse beneath appearances, to see not just with eyes, but with presence. This is the forgotten sight, the ability to feel truth before it's proven. You are not empty, waiting to be filled. You are full, waiting to be remembered. That is one of the core teachings. Your worth is not something to earn, it is something to reclaim. The wisdom reveals that your soul came into this life not to prove but to express. You are not a student of Laku or a vessel of light. The book reminds you that the external world is only a projection of the internal state, that you don't change reality by fighting it. You shift it by tuning your frequency. The most powerful changes don't come from external effort, but from internal elevation. This is the forgotten formula. Energy first, evidence later. You were never meant to follow blindly. You were meant to awaken, question, explore. The forgotten wisdom encourages discernment over dogma. It invites you to feel truth in your bones, not just repeat it from memory. It says, don't worship the path, become the path. Let your life be the scripture others read. One of the sacred verses reveals that your desires are divine assignments. What calls to you is not rando. It's your soul's signal echoing through time. When you honor your deepest callings, you are not chasing dreams, you are following destiny. Desire in its purest form is a breadcrumb trail to your purpose. There is no punishment in the forgotten book, only patterns. You are not cursed. You are vibrating, and the law responds without bias. What you repeat, you reinforce. What you release, you rewrite. The wisdom teaches that life is not happening to you, it is happening through you, and you are the author. Another hidden teaching reveals the power of presence, that in this now moment, all timelines converge. The future is shaped here, the past is healed here, and the more present you become, the more power you hold. Presence is not passive, it is the gateway to all possibility. This chapter of the book is always open. The book reveals that silence is sacred, that you don't need constant noise to learn. In stillness, everything speaks. The universe is not loud, it is precise. And when you quiet the mind, the soul speaks clearly. The forgotten wisdom says, retreat from the world, not to escape, but to tune in, because all creation starts in the unseen. It reminds you that embodiment is the final step. Knowing is not enough. You must live it, speak it, radiate it, Wisdom, unexpressed, becomes stagnation, but once embodied, it becomes magnetic. Your life becomes the proof of the pages. The book no longer needs to be read, it begins to be lived. And perhaps the most sacred truth of all, the book never ends. Each chapter reveals more as you evolve. It is a living text written across dimensions designed to grow with you. And as you expand, so does its meaning. You are not here to finish the book. You are here to become it, to walk its words, to echo its truth, to carry the forgotten wisdom into a world ready to remember. The Forgotten Book teaches that the body is not just flesh, it is frequency. Every cell holds memory. Every heartbeat speaks in rhythm. Every breath carries the vibration of your soul. Your body is a living manuscript, etched with wisdom from lifetimes past. When you treat it as sacred, it reveals chapters long ignored. Your healing begins the moment you stop seeing the body as a burden and start seeing it as a guide. Within its unseen pages lies the truth that time is not linear. It is layered. The past, present, and future all exist in energetic patterns. When you shift your vibration now, you rewrite old scripts and redirect future outcomes. This book doesn't ask you to wait. It reminds you that transformation is not measured by the clock, but by alignment. It holds the mystery of contrast. The idea that darkness is not the opposite of light, but its initiator. That what seems like breakdown is often breakthrough in disguise. Pain, when understood, becomes a portal. The wisdom of this book doesn't ask you to avoid the storm. It asks you to walk through it with eyes wide open, knowing what waits on the other side is a clearer version of you. This ancient wisdom honors cycles. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, your energy ebbs and flows. You are not meant to be constantly rising. There is purpose in the pause, depth in the descent. The Forgotten Book doesn't glorify endless productivity. It praises rhythm, balance, and harmony with the soul's natural pace. It whispers the power of authenticity. You were not created to mimic. You were born as an original expression of universal intelligence. When you dilute yourself to be accepted, you step out of the sacred text. But when you own your difference, your light grows louder. The book teaches that your real power is in being fully, unapologetically you. One profound passage reminds us that wisdom doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from listening deeply. The book favors humility over intellect, stillness over noise. It reminds us that the answers we seek often rise in quiet moments when we stop searching and simply become receptive. The book does not divide, it unifies. It does not teach separation between spirit and matter, between the divine and the human. It reveals that the divine is embedded in the everyday, in your thoughts, your meals, your laughter, your tears. There is no somewhere else you must reach. It's all right here, vibrating beneath the surface. It speaks of sacred responsibility, not guilt, not shame, but a deep recognition that your vibration impacts the collective. Your healing is never selfish. Every inner shift you make radiates outward, influencing the field. The Forgotten Wisdom says when you rise, you give others permission to do the same. One sacred teaching reveals that your voice is a tool for activation. Words are spells, vibrations made audible. When you speak truth, you don't just express, you create. You command the field. Every syllable carries frequency. Speak love and you align with creation. Speak fear and you reinforce limitation. The choice is always yours. The book honors the unseen guides, your intuition, your ancestors, your spirit allies. You are not walking alone. This wisdom reminds you that help is always present, even when unacknowledged. The veil is thin and guidance often whispers through synchronicity, dreams, or gut feelings. The Forgotten Book says, trust the invisible hand. It encourages you to step beyond belief into embodiment. Belief is the seed, embodiment is the bloom. You can believe in abundance and still live in lack. But once you embody a taunt, you feel it, move with it, speak from it, you shift your frequency permanently. An embodiment makes truth unshakable. There is a powerful verse in this book about surrender, not as defeat, but as alignment. It teaches that the highest form of power is not control, but trust. When you release the need to force outcomes, you create space for miracles. Letting go is not giving up. It's stepping into the flow that's already carrying you. The Forgotten Wisdom reminds you that joy is your natural state, not because life is always easy, but because joy is the frequency of your essence. It's not earned, it's uncovered. As you release what dims you, you rise into the vibration of your truth. Joy becomes not a reward, but a remembrance. This book teaches that forgiveness is liberation, not a gift to the one who hurt you, but a release of the vibration that binds you to the past. Holding on to pain is like rereading a chapter that no longer serves you. When you forgive, you close the loop and free your energy to write a new story. It reveals that intention is a sacred technology. Every clear conscious intention sends a ripple into the field. Intention precedes manifestation. The book reminds you that drifting is a result of unclarity. But when you set a clear, energetic direction, the universe responds not because you demanded it, but because you became it. One of the most radiant truths within this wisdom is that love is the highest frequency, not just romantic love, but divine love as presence, acceptance, truth. When you operate from love, you align with the core vibration of the universe. You stop seeking and start radiating. That's when life begins to mirror your essence. It teaches the sacred balance of effort and surrender. There is a time to act and a time to trust. The Forgotten Book reveals that pushing too hard misaligns your energy, while inspired action born of inner clarity multiplies results. Harmony is found in listening to when the soul wants to move and when it wants to receive. The wisdom speaks of inner sovereignty, truth that nothing outside of you defines your worth. No title, no approval, no achievement. The real validation comes when you recognize your own frequency as enough. When you live from this sovereignty, you don't beg for power, you become it. It reminds us that the journey is sacred, that there's nothing wrong with not having it all figured out. The Forgotten Book never asks for perfection. It only asks for presence, for honesty, for courage to evolve. Every misstep is a paragraph in your evolution. Every detour, a sacred line in the unfolding story. And finally, the book's most eternal message. You are the wisdom, you are the page, you are the light returning to itself. This wisdom has never been lost and hidden beneath the noise of the world. And now as you listen, as you feel, as you remember, the Forgotten Book opens again, not in front of you, but within you. And this time you're ready to live its truth. Chapter 7, Ancient Principles, Modern Power. The world you live in moves fast. Screens flicker, timelines scroll, opinions change by the hour. But beneath the noise, there is something timeless. Ancient principles that have guided souls for thousands of years still pulse beneath the surface. These truths do not expire, they evolve. And when applied with intention today, they unlock a level of power that technology alone can't reach. The ancients knew that everything is connected, not just in thought, but in structure. Your body is linked to the earth. Your mind is shaped by the stars. Your breath follows the rhythm of the moon. These weren't superstitions. They were systems of energetic intelligence. They lived in harmony with the unseen because they understood it shaped the scene. One ancient principle is that of sacred rhythm. There is a time to act and a time to rest, a time to rise and a time to reflect. Today's culture glorifies constant motion, but power is not found in speed, it's found in sync. When you live in rhythm with your energy, your body and the seasons of your soul, you move with far more force than when you hustle against yourselves. Ancient wisdom teaches the power of stillness. Before warriors acted, they meditated. Before decisions were made, silence was honored. Stillness was not laziness, it was strategy. In modern times, stillness has been replaced by noise. But the principle remains: the quieter you become, the more clearly you hear your path. One of the oldest truths is that intention creates direction. Before rituals, journeys, or decisions, the ancients set intentions. Intention focused their energy. Today, people drift through life without clarity, wondering why they feel lost. But when you anchor yourself in intention, you give your energy a map, and energy once guided becomes momentum. The law of cause and effect, karma, is another timeless principle. The ancients didn't fear it, they respected it. Every thought, word, and action was seen as a seed. You reap not what you hope for, but what you plant consistently. In modern life, this still holds. Your outcomes are the fruit of your energetic habits, not your wishes. Modern power is not found in domination, it is found in alignment. The ancient masters didn't force change, they embodied it. They became so centered, so deeply rooted in self-awareness that the world began to organize around them. Today, those who master this ancient art of internal alignment become magnetic in any room they enter. Another sacred teaching is the principle of balance, not just between work and rest, but between masculine and feminine energy, doing and being, giving and receiving. Ancient societies thrived when this harmony was upheld. Today's imbalance has created burnout, confusion, and emptiness. But when balance is restored within you, clarity and strength follow. The ancients honored the power of the spoken word. They understood that language shapes reality. Words were not thrown carelessly. They were crafted, blessed, and infused with intention. Today, language is often used mindlessly, but the principle is unchanged. What you speak becomes your spell. Speak truth, speak life, speak with precision. Connection to the earth was another foundational principle. The ancients walked barefoot on the soil, gazed at the stars, rose with the sun. They weren't disconnected from life. They were merged with it. In our modern world, reconnection to nature revives the nervous system and restores intuition. Your power returns when your feet touch the ground. They also understood that community is energy. Circles were sacred. People gathered not just to socialize, but to exchange frequency. Today we gather through screens, yet feel more alone than ever. But the principle endures. True power grows in conscious community. When hearts align, energy expands exponentially. One principle too often forgotten is the wisdom of the body. The ancients viewed the body as a temple, not to be worshipped for appearance, but to be honored as a vessel of divine intelligence. Every sensation was a signal, every ache a message. Your body is not your enemy. It is your oldest ally, always speaking in frequency. They revered cycles, the cycle of breath, seasons, life, and death. They did not fear endings because they knew every ending is a return. In the modern world, we cling to permanence, but when you live cyclically, you release attachment, and in doing so, you free yourself from suffering. That freedom is true power. The ancient principle of presence was central to their way of life. They ate slowly. They listened deeply. They watched the sky as if it spoke because it did. Today, presence is rare, but it is the doorway to power. When you are fully here, fully now, you become the most potent version of yourself. Ceremony was not an event, it was a way of life. Bathing, eating, breathing, walking, everything could be done with reverence. Today, you can bring ceremony back by treating your time, your space, and your thoughts with intention. The modern world may be fast, but your spirit can remain slow and sacred. The ancients valued inner mastery over outer approval. They did not seek validation. They sought alignment. Their power came from knowing themselves, not from proving themselves. In today's world of comparison, this principle is a revolutionary act. When you choose authenticity over applause, your energy becomes untouchable. One essential principle is that emotion is energy in motion. The ancients allowed emotion to move. They cried without shame, danced in grief, roared in anger, and then returned to stillness. Today, emotions are suppressed or judged, but when you honor and release them, they become power, not weight. The principle of gratitude was foundational. Gratitude wasn't a practice, it was a way of being. They gave thanks for rain and drought, light and shadow. Gratitude stabilized their frequency. In modern power, gratitude is the frequency of receivership. What you appreciate amplifies, what you ignore fades. They knew the breath was sacred, not just to stay alive, but to stay conscious. Breath was used to regulate, to awaken, to access different states of awareness. In modern chaos, a single conscious breath can bring you back to center. Breath is your bridge between the ancient and the now. They trusted the unseen. Dreams were not just random, they were maps. Symbols held power. Intuition was a compass. We have been taught to doubt what we can't measure, but the unseen is where creation begins. Modern power returns when you begin to feel what your mind can't yet explain. And above all, the ancients lived by the principle of alignment with Source. They did not worship from separation. They communed from oneness. Today we seek power from the outside, but real power, lasting, deep, soul-centered power comes from the source within. The same source the ancients honored is still here, and it is waiting for you to remember. The principle of sacred sound was deeply woven into ancient cultures. Chants, mantras, drumming, and harmonic tones were used not just for worship, but for healing and alignment. Sound was known to alter states of consciousness and cleanse energy fields. In today's world, sound still holds this power. When you surround yourself with high-frequency music, conscious speech, or intentional silence, you realign with your natural state. They believed that light and darkness were both necessary teachers, The shadow was not denied, it was explored. Darkness wasn't evil, it was fertile. It held the seeds of transformation. In modern society, we are taught to avoid discomfort, but ancient power grows when we face our shadow. Understand its lessons and integrate it into wholeness. The principle of discipline wasn't about control, it was about devotion. The ancients committed to practices that kept their minds clear and their hearts open. Fasting, movement, ritual, and prayer weren't burdens, they were bridges to higher states. Today, discipline can return not as punishment, but as a sacred agreement with your highest self. They knew that the elements earth, water, fire, air, and ether weren't just physical forces, but energetic allies. Earth grounded, water cleansed, fire transformed, air inspired, and ether connected. Working with the elements in daily life brings power back into balance. Whether through nature, ritual, or imagination, honoring the elements brings the ancient into the now. Symbols were never just drawings, they were energetic blueprints. A spiral represented evolution, a triangle focused energy, a circle symbolized wholeness. The ancients encoded wisdom into geometry and art. Today, when you meditate on sacred symbols or wear them with intention, you activate the frequencies they hold. They honored dreams as divine communication. Dreams weren't forgotten upon waking. They were studied, written, and deciphered. Dreams offered insight from the subconscious, the ancestors, and higher realms. In our current world, dreams are often dismissed, yet they continue to carry messages. When you pay attention, you reclaim this ancient conversation. Their power came from humility. The more they understood the universe, the less they needed to control it. They didn't pretend to know everything, they aligned with mystery. Today's power often comes through ego, but true strength is found in surrender. Humility opens portals that arrogance can't even see. One essential principle was that healing was communal. When one person hurt, the whole group responded. Healing was not isolated. It was witnessed, held, and honored together. In modern times, we are taught to suffer silently, but collective healing returns when we create safe spaces to be real, vulnerable, and seen. The ancients lived by the law of reciprocity. Giving and receiving were two parts of the same sacred loop. Nothing was hoarded. Energy flowed. You gave with intention and received with grace. Today, imbalance happens when you give from depletion or refuse to receive. True modern power comes from keeping this ancient exchange alive. They didn't view aging as decline, they saw it as ascension. Elders weren't discarded. They were revered as wisdom keepers. With age came clarity, authority, and deep spiritual insight. Today's culture fears aging, but the ancient principle still applies. Real power grows over time. Your wrinkles hold stories. Your years hold keys. Another vital teaching was that your environment reflects your soul. The home was sacred. Objects had purpose. Space was cleared with smoke, prayer, and intention. In modern times, clutter often mirrors confusion. But when you treat your space as a temple, your mind and energy follow. Clean space, clear channel. They believed that time was a spiral, not a straight line. Events repeated in cycles until wisdom was fully embodied. You were not stuck. You were being offered another chance to respond differently. This insight brings modern liberation. Patterns aren't punishments. They're invitations to evolve through choice. They knew that children were close to the divine. They listened to their dreams, protected their sensitivity, and encouraged their creativity. In today's world, we often try to shape children into systems, but the ancient path reminds us that children don't need to be fixed, they need to be heard. Their innocence carries truth. One timeless law is that joy is sacred. Laughter, dancing, feasting, storytelling. These weren't distractions, they were medicine. Joy elevated the vibration of the tribe. Today, joy is postponed or hidden behind achievement. But when you prioritize joy as a spiritual practice, you tap into the frequency of vitality. They honored transitions with ceremony, birth, initiation, marriage. Dithiac phase was recognized with sacred ritual. These moments were marked with presence and intention. In modern life, we often rush through thresholds, but power is found when you pause to witness transformation. Ritual roots the soul through change. The ancients understood that prayer wasn't begging, it was aligning. They didn't pray from desperation, they prayed to attune with source. Modern power returns when you stop asking for things from lack and begin aligning with them from wholeness. Prayer becomes a portal, not a plea. Silence wasn't awkward, it was revered. It was in silence that answers emerged. Visions came and clarity arrived. Today, people fill every space with sound afraid to feel. But when you reintroduce silence into your life, you reintroduce depth. In silence, the ancient voice within you becomes audible again. The principle of self-initiation was central to their growth. You didn't wait to be chosen, you chose yourselves. You didn't wait for permission to evolve, you created your own rites of passage. This is a forgotten form of power. In the modern world, it returns when you declare, I am ready, and act accordingly. They saw art as a spiritual force. Carving, songs, dances, and poetry weren't just entertainment. They were sacred transmissions. To create was to channel the divine. You don't have to be an artist to reclaim this principle. Your creativity, however it shows up, is your soul speaking. Let it speak freely. And above all, the ancient principle of remembrance echoes through every era. You are not here to chase power. You are here to remember. You've always had it. Modern tools may look different, but the truth remains unchanged. When you apply these timeless teachings with presence and intention, your power becomes not just personal, but eternal. Chapter 8, you are the creator in disguise. You were never ordinary. From the beginning, you arrived with encoded power hidden not to deceive you, but to challenge you to awaken. The world told you who to be, what to believe, and how to behave. But deep within a voice has always whispered there is more. That whisper is not your imagination. It is your essence reminding you that you are the creator in disguise. Your thoughts are not passive, they are instructions to the field. Every belief you hold, every expectation you carry becomes a blueprint for your life. You are not a spectator. You are not a victim of fate. You are an architect shaping experience with every vibration you emit. Reality is not something you observe. It is something you program from within. The universe does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are being. You could say the right words, act the right part, but if the frequency behind it contradicts your truth, nothing changes. You are not defined by your voice, but by your signal. And when your inner state aligns with your intention, reality begins to bend. You were trained to forget your creative power, conditioned to fit into systems built on survival, fear, and limitation. You were told to follow rules, seek approval, and silence your inner knowing. But creation does not emerge from conformity. It is born in rebellion and authenticity, in the sacred act of remembering your own divinity. You don't manifest by begging. You manifest by aligning. You don't chase what's yours. You become the version of you that already has it. This is the key the world never taught you. Embodiment precedes evidence. When you feel, think, and act from the frequency of fulfillment, life mirrors your vibration with astonishing precision. You are not broken. You are simply unpracticed in your power. The creative force within you has been waiting not for external permission, but for your internal decision. The moment you decide to own your energy, speak your truth, and move as if your vision is real, you activate the creator within. The field of infinite possibility surrounds you at all times. Every version of your life already exists in energetic form. Your current experience is just the one you've been consistently tuning into. Shift the dial, shift your reality. You don't need to fight the old. You only need to vibrate with the new. Creation begins with clarity. When you decide who you are and how you wish to feel, the universe begins to organize in your favor. But clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from feeling deeper. Your emotions are not distractions. They are indicators. Follow the feeling that aligns with freedom, and you follow the path of the creator. The disguise was never meant to be permanent. It was a test of recognition. Would you believe the illusion of limitation, or would you pierce through it and see yourself clearly? Every hardship, every closed door was a hidden mirror asking you to look beyond circumstance and into source. And source was always you. The creator doesn't wait, the creator initiates. You're not here to react. You're here to originate. If you're waiting for a sign, you are the sign. If you're waiting for a shift, you are the shift. The moment you realize your energy carries authority, you stop asking for change and start becoming it. Your desires are not random. They are reminders, echoes of a reality you're meant to step into. They arise not to tease you, but to guide you. You wouldn't feel them if you weren't capable of holding them. Desire is destiny knocking at the door of your identity. Will you open it or will you stay disguised? There is no separation between you and the universe. You are the universe localized in human form. The same intelligence that moves galaxies flows through your breath. The same creative power that formed oceans is wired into your imagination. You are not just part of creation, you are its active expression. Responsibility is power disguised as weight. When you realize you are the creator, it may feel overwhelming at first. But this weight is not a burden, it is a crown. When you take ownership of your energy, your choices, and your reality, you lift the veil of helplessness and rise into sovereignty. Most people fear their power more than their weakness because power demands presence. It demands awareness. It asks you to drop the excuses and meet yourself fully. But once you embrace it, you no longer fear failure. You understand that even your so-called setbacks are brushstrokes in your masterpiece. The creator within you speaks in visions, daydreams, ideas, inspired action. These are not distractions. They are downloads. Don't ignore them. They are blueprints waiting to be realized. Creation is not reserved for artists. It belongs to every soul bold enough to listen and move when called. Energy doesn't lie. Even when you pretend on the outside your vibration tells the truth, if you want to create differently, you must be willing to feel differently. This is not about pretending to be positive. It's about becoming energetically honest. The creator's power lives in alignment, not performance. No one can create your life for you. Others may influence, suggest, or judge, but the paintbrush is in your hands. Every thought is a stroke. Every feeling is a color. Every decision adds dimension. Stop waiting for someone to paint it better. Start painting it truer. The disguise was useful. It made you search, it made you stretch it, made you doubt, and then it made you decide. That decision to believe in yourself, to rise anyway, to create regardless, is the moment you undress the illusion and meet the truth. You were never meant to stay hidden. Creation is not a one-time act. It is a continuous process. You are always creating through your reactions, your focus, your frequency. The question is not, am I creating? But what am I creating? Every moment is a chance to shift, refine, and elevate your output. The creator doesn't need certainty. They move by resonance. You may not know how it will all work out. You may not see the full picture, but when the energy feels right, you move. That is creation in its rawest form, trusting the signal before the proof appears. And finally, the most sacred truth, you never lost your power. You only stopped looking inward. You never stopped creating. You just forgot you were doing it. But now as you rise, feel, and remember, the disguise fades and what's revealed is not a new you, it's the real you, the creator fully seen. Every time you choose presence over distraction, you reclaim the creator within. Creation happens in the now, not in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries. The more rooted you are in this moment, the more power you hold. Because in this very breath, you decide which timeline to align with what version of you to step into. That decision made consciously rewrites everything. You don't need permission to create, you only need remembrance. The creator within you does not wait to be chosen. It already is chosen. Every moment you doubt your worth, you delay your impact. But the moment you remember your identity, your energy shifts from hesitation to initiation. Creation begins the second you say yes to your truth. The world responds to certainty. When you walk into a room not needing validation but radiating alignment, people feel it. That frequency doesn't come from external accomplishment, it comes from inner congruence. When who you are, what you believe, and how you show up are in sync, you become a living force of creation. Creation does not require chaos. You don't need to suffer to be powerful. That is an outdated program. True power is quiet, deliberate, focused. It doesn't demand attention. It commands energy. The creator in you is not chaotic, it's clear. And from that clarity comes ease, flow, and precision in all that you build. Imagination is not just child's play. It's your creative interface with the quantum field. When you imagine something vividly, emotionally, and repeatedly, you create energetic momentum. The field begins to organize around your inner world. The more real it feels to you, the more inevitable it becomes in your external life. You've been told to be realistic, but realism is often just recycled limitation. The creator doesn't ask what's probable. They ask what's possible. Possibility is the domain of the awakened. When you ask new questions, you open new portals. When you dare to believe differently, reality adjusts to follow your courage. Your past does not determine your power. It may have shaped your perspective, but it cannot cancel your creative force. The creator doesn't live in your history, yet lives in your now. And from the now, you can recreate your story not by erasing it, but by choosing a new meaning, a new response, and a new direction. Even your pain holds creative power. Every scar is a source of perspective, compassion, and strength. When you alchemize your suffering into wisdom, you create from a deeper place. The creator does not avoid wounds, they transmute them. And in doing so, they turn brokenness into beauty and struggle into strength. Doubt is not your enemy, it's your invitation. Every time you doubt your power, you're being asked to look deeper, anchor stronger, and choose again. The creator doesn't wait for all doubt to vanish. They create anyway. In fact, action in the face of doubt is the most powerful signal you can send to the universe. There are no ordinary thoughts. Each one is a signal. When you loop thoughts of fear, you recreate fear. When you direct your thoughts toward vision, gratitude, and abundance, you activate a new pathway. You are broadcasting constantly. Creation begins when you start curating the signal, not reacting to the noise. Creation is not copying, it's channeling. You don't need to imitate others. You are your own source. Your energy is unique, your path is specific, and your frequency holds a creative tone that has never existed before. The more authentic you become, the more original your creations are. You're not here to repeat, you're here to reveal. Comparison is a thief of creation. The moment you look outside for validation, you dim your inner power. The creator knows that alignment is personal. What works for others may not work for you. Your truth may look different, and that's the point. You didn't come here to blend in. You came to create a new tone in the collective symphony. Your environment is a mirror of your vibration. When you shift your energy, your surroundings begin to respond. The people, opportunities, and outcomes you experience are not random. They're reflective. Creation means taking responsibility for what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you energize. There is no failure, only feedback. Every time something doesn't go as planned, the universe is offering you data, not to shame you, but to refine you. The creator takes feedback and uses it as fuel. They adapt, they shift, they evolve. Every closed door becomes redirection. Every detour becomes depth. The creator's greatest tool is consistency, not perfection. You don't need to feel powerful every day. You just need to keep showing up, even when doubt whispers, even when results delay. Every moment you return to your vision, your vibration sharpens. Creation is a rhythm. Keep dancing with it. You don't need to do it all at once. Creation is not about overwhelming output. It's about intentional alignment. One inspired action done from clarity can shift more than 100 actions taken in confusion. The creator doesn't rush. They move when the energy says move. And that's why their impact lasts. Fear of judgment is a disguise that dims your light. But the creator doesn't create to be accepted. They create to be true. Not everyone will understand your frequency, and that's okay. Your mission isn't mass approval. It's alignment with your soul. And when you're true to that, those who resonate will find you. There's nothing more powerful than a human who remembers, who looks at the illusion of limitation and laughs because they've seen beyond it, who stops waiting for miracles and becomes one. The creator doesn't chase proof. They live it, they radiate it, they embody it until the world has no choice but to respond. The creator is not limited by current reality. They're guided by inner vision. They walk by faith, not by circumstance. They tune into the unseen and trust its pull. And though the path may be uncertain, the energy is always precise. Trust that inner pulsates the language of your destiny calling. You are not waiting to become the creator, you already are. Every breath is a tool. Every choice is a canvas. Every feeling is a frequency. And now as the disguise begins to fade, you're not just remembering, you're activating. You are no longer asleep to your power. You are awake, aware, and ready to shape the world from the inside out. Chapter 9, Unlocking Inner Vision. True sight begins where the eyes end. Inner vision isn't about seeing with clarity. It's about perceiving with truth. It's the ability to see beyond circumstances, beyond noise, beyond illusion. Illusion. It's not something you learn from the outside world. It's something you awaken within. Inner vision is the compass of the creator, the lens through which reality is shaped, not just observed. You've been trained to believe only what's visible, but the most powerful forces in your life. Faith, intuition, love, purpose cannot be seen. Inner vision is how you connect with what matters before it materializes. It is your access point to the quantum field. The more you trust it, the clearer the unseen becomes. You stop reacting to appearances and start creating from intention. Inner vision isn't fantasy, it's frequency. It's when you hold a mental image so vividly, so consistently, that the universe begins to respond. It's when you tune your energy to what you want to experience and the outer world eventually follows. This is how creators move. They see it within first, then walk as if it's done. You do not unlock your inner vision by effort, but by stillness. Noise clouds your inner lens. But when you sit in silence, breathe deeply, and let the mind settle, the vision begins to surface. It speaks in feelings, symbols, flashes of insight. It may not always be clear, but it will always be aligned. Your job is to listen without force. The ego wants proof. The soul wants direction. Inner vision isn't here to confirm your fear. Sits here to guide your evolution. That's why it often challenges the logic of your current circumstances. It pulls you beyond comfort, beyond evidence. It says, go this way even when the road is invisible. Trust it, and you'll find the path as you walk it. Inner vision is strengthened by belief. Not blind belief, but embodied belief. When you believe in what you feel more than what you fear, your inner eye sharpens. You begin to notice signs, symbols, confirmations all around you. The universe is always speaking to your vision. You just have to be tuned in enough to hear it. Your imagination is not just a mental playground. It is a divine interface. Every time you close your eyes and visualize a better version of your life, you activate dormant energy within you. That energy begins to reorganize your nervous system, your emotions, your focus. Inner vision restructures your inner world, and your inner world becomes the template for reality. You don't need to know every detail. Inner vision doesn't give you the full map. It gives you the next step. It shows you the direction, not the destination. If you wait until everything is clear, you'll never move. But if you move with what you do see, you'll unlock more as you go. Clarity follows commitment. Inner vision is personal. No one else needs to understand it. They don't need to see what you see or agree with what you feel. You are not here to justify your calling. You are here to follow it. The more you honor your vision in private, the more power it gains in public. You don't need the world to believe in you. You need to believe in what you see inside. Sometimes the vision comes as a whisper. Other times it hits like lightning. But it always arrives with a feeling of expansion. It stretches you. It scares you. It calls you higher. That's how you know it's real. It doesn't let you stay small. It awakens something ancient and alive, something that cannot be ignored. When you neglect your inner vision, you begin to feel stuck. Life becomes repetitive, dull, and uninspired. That's not because you lack motivation. It's because you've stopped tuning in. The outer world cannot fuel you the way your inner world can. The vision is your fire. Without it, you forget why you started. You strengthen inner vision by acting on it. Every small step you take in alignment with your inner knowing sharpens your clarity. It's not enough to see, you must move. Action becomes the language of commitment. When you walk toward your vision, the vision walks toward you. This is co-creation in motion. Your inner vision holds a frequency. The more you sit with it, the more it imprints your body, your emotions, your thoughts. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with quiet certainty. People sense something in you, even if they can't explain it. That something is alignment. To unlock inner vision, you must remove distractions, not just physical ones, but mental ones. Doubt, comparison, fear of judgment, these cloud your inner lens. Clarity requires courage. When you're willing to sit with yourself without numbing or avoiding the vision, becomes clearer than ever before. Inner vision thrives in solitude. When you disconnect from the opinions of others, from the constant pull of validation, you begin to hear your own signal again. It's quiet at first, but over time it becomes your dominant voice. This is not isolation, it's recalibration. You return to your own energetic truth. Not everyone can see your vision, and they're not supposed to. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Protect it, nurture it, build it. Your job is not to convince the world, it's to co-create with the universe. Visionaries aren't understood until the vision is visible. Until then, walk in quiet confidence. Inner vision brings resilience. When you hold the future within you, you stop collapsing over temporary setbacks. You know they're just scenes in a bigger story. Your energy stays steady, your focus sharpens, your faith becomes fuel, and your journey becomes less about speed and more about alignment. The more you align with your inner vision, the more magnetic you become. Opportunities, people, resources begin to show up, not because you chase them, but because you match them. Vision creates vibration, and vibration draws reality. You don't force the shift, you attract it by becoming it. Your inner vision is sacred. It's the most direct connection you have with your highest self. It reveals not what is, but what could be. It asks not is it realistic, but is it true for me? When you answer that question with courage, you unlock a life most never dare to access. The more you live by inner vision, the less you need approval. You stop needing evidence before believing. You become self-led, soul-guided, purpose-driven. This is where freedom begins, not in control, but in clarity. When your inner sight becomes stronger than the external noise, nothing can stop you. And finally, remember this. You were never meant to see only with your eyes. Your soul came equipped with vision that pierces illusion, that defies logic, that transcends time. When you unlock it, you don't just see a better life. You become the force that creates it. Your inner vision is not just a glimpse of what's coming. It's a confirmation that it's already yours. Inner vision is not fantasy, it's spiritual foresight. It allows you to witness potential realities before they take form. When you give it attention and emotional weight, those potentials become pathways. The vision itself is neutral until you charge it with belief, focus, and aligned energy. That is when it begins to crystallize and pull the future into the now. The world around you is shaped by those who saw with inner eyes first. Every invention, movement, and creation and transformation began in the unseen. The great minds and souls who shifted history didn't wait for evidence. They followed the pull of something no one else could yet see. That same power is available to you if you dare to trust your inner knowing. Sometimes your vision will make you feel alone. It will isolate you not as punishment, but as preparation. You'll walk roads others don't understand. You'll hold truths others can't see. But that's the nature of vision. It shows up before validation. It tests your loyalty to your purpose before rewarding your persistence. Inner vision requires you to unlearn the rules of limitation. You must stop measuring your potential by your past. Your past was a reflection of an earlier frequency, not a prophecy of what must continue. When you hold a higher vision, you interrupt old cycles. You become the breaker of patterns and the builder of new paradigms. The vision you carry inside you is already true on an energetic level. You're not chasing something distant. You're aligning with something real. When you tune into it consistently, you begin to embody its energy. The people, places, and opportunities that match your vision will feel familiar, not because you've met them before, but because you've met them within. Vision doesn't require outside agreement. It requires inside integrity. You don't need the world to cheer for your dream. You only need your soul to stand behind it. That's when the real momentum begins, because the field responds to consistency. And consistency is born from alignment, not applause. Inner vision sharpens through challenge. The obstacles you face are not blocks. They are tests of focus. They ask you, will you hold the vision even when the outer world contradicts it? Will you stay true to your calling even when nothing makes sense yet? If the answer is yes, you evolve from wishful thinking to energetic mastery. One of the most powerful tools to support your vision is visualization. Close your eyes, see it, feel it, embody it, not as something you hope for, but as something already encoded into your being. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between memory and imagination. Train it to believe the vision is now, and it will begin to reshape your reality accordingly. Let go of timelines. Inner vision doesn't obey your calendar. It obeys frequency. You may think it's taking too long, but divine timing is not delay. It is preparation. The more grounded and clear you are, the faster the alignment happens. Trust the process, not the pressure. Time is not your enemy, it's your assistant. Your inner vision is sacred ground. Be mindful of who you share it with. Not everyone is meant to carry it with you. Some will project their fears onto it. Some will misunderstand it. That's okay. Protect your vision like a seed. Share it only with those who water it, not those who trample it with doubt. Vision without embodiment becomes frustration. You can't just see it. You must live it. Speak as if it's already true. Walk as if you already own it. Show up as the version of you who has already arrived. This is not pretending, it is anchoring the energy of your future into the present. You were born with inner vision. As a child, you dreamed freely, you imagined without resistance. But over time, you were taught to see through the eyes of others. Now it's time to reclaim your original lens. Return to the purity of belief, the freedom of imagining without limits. That's where your true power lives. Doubt is natural, but it is not the end. Every visionary feels moments of uncertainty. But what separates the visionary from the wanderer is not the absence of doubt. It's the choice to move forward anyway. Doubt loses its grip when action becomes your answer. Step forward and the fog clears. Your vision is a reflection of your soul's purpose. You're not making it you, it's making its way through you. Honor it as sacred. It is your soul trying to guide you back to yourself. When you ignore it, you feel disconnected. When you follow it, you feel whole. This is not coincidence, it is calling. Journaling your vision is a powerful practice. Writing it down grounds it. It turns the unseen into a tangible form. As you write, you clarify. As you clarify, you magnetize. Let your journal become the first draft of your future. Write with certainty. Write with conviction. Write as if it's already unfolding, because it is. Inner vision expands when you remove energetic clutter. Old beliefs, unresolved emotions, toxic relationships all cloud your lens. Clean the channel. Clear the space. Make room for clarity to arrive. Just as a window lets in more light when wiped clean, your soul shines brighter when no longer dimmed by what no longer serves you. Celebrate the glimpses. Sometimes you'll receive flashes of the futura feeling, a synchronicity, a dream that confirms your vision. Don't dismiss these moments. They're energetic winks from the universe, evidence that your inner world is syncing with the outer. Let them fuel your faith. You don't need to earn your vision. It already belongs to you. You are not chasing a reward. You are remembering your role. You were born to imagine, to envision, to bring new realities into form. This is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. Your vision isn't just for you, it's for the world that will benefit from it. Inner vision demands commitment, not to outcomes, but to truth. Your vision may evolve, but your devotion to alignment must remain. The more loyal you are to your own soul, the more power you awaken. That power is not loud. It's steady, grounded, undeniable, and it moves the world without force. And remember, the most important vision you can hold is the one of who you are becoming. See yourself as whole, as powerful, as aligned. Not someday, but now. Because once you can hold that image with conviction, the rest of life aligns around it. Not as a miracle, but as a mirror of who you finally remembered yourself to be. Chapter 10. Detach from what controls you. Freedom begins with awareness. You cannot release what you don't recognize. Most of what controls you doesn't come with chainside, comes disguised as habits. Thoughts, people, and emotions that you become used to. To detach doesn't mean to stop caring. It means to stop allowing anything outside of you to dictate your inner state. You've been taught to seek approval, to chase validation, to adapt to systems that reward obedience. But real power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being aligned. When you detach from the need to be accepted, you free yourself to express your truth. And that truth has always been the key to your evolution. Detachment is not disconnection, it's clarity. It's the ability to observe without absorbing, to respond without reacting, to move through the world without losing yourself to it. The more you detach from external noise, the more you hear your own signal. And that signal is the path home to your power. What controls you owns your energy. If fear makes your choices, fear runs your life. If opinions define your worth, you'll never feel enough. Detachment means reclaiming your power from the things you've handed it to unconsciously. It's not about avoiding life. It's about engaging with life from a place of sovereignty. You must learn to let go of control to regain control. The tighter you grip, the more life resists. But when you release attachment to outcomes, people, and timing, you create space for flow. The universe doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to trust. Detachment opens the gate to grace. Your emotions are real, but they're not rulers. Detaching from emotional hijacking means recognizing your feelings without letting them dominate your decisions. It means giving space to sadness, anger, or fear, but not building a home inside them. You are the observer, not the storm. Detachment gives you that view. Social conditioning often goes unnoticed. From early on, you're programmed to believe certain things about success, identity, love, and worth. But those beliefs are not always yours. They're inherited. To detach is to question, who told me this? Does it serve me now? If it doesn't, it's time to let it go. The media, the metrics, the scrolling timelines, These can quietly control your focus and fragment your energy. Detachment is the act of stepping back and choosing what you consume. Your attention is sacred. What you feed it determines your state. What you detach from clears the lens through which you see reality. People can be attachments too. Not all connections are healthy. Some relationships are rooted in dependence, fear, or trauma bonds. Detachment doesn't mean abandoning people. It means refusing to abandon yourself. It's choosing to stay aligned even when that means walking away from what once felt familiar. Detach from your past. You are not your old mistakes, your previous failures, or the story others still carry about you. The past only controls you when you keep rehearsing it in your mind. Every time you relive it emotionally, you rewire it into your now. Detachment is deciding to write a new chapter starting now. Your identity can become a cage. Labels, roles, and titles might once have served you, but if they limit your growth, they must be questioned. Detachment from identity allows transformation. Who you've been isn't who you must remain. The creator evolves by shedding skins that no longer fit. Detaching from the outcome doesn't mean losing the vision. It means holding the vision loosely enough for it to arrive in ways you didn't expect. Obsession blocks flow, faith expands it. When you stop micromanaging how the universe delivers with precision and timing, your logic could never calculate. Detach from comparison. You will never be at peace trying to keep up with someone else's timeline. Your path is sacred, your rhythm, unique. Comparison drains your power and distorts your vision. Detachment means staying in your lane, anchored in your frequency, aligned with your inner truth. You don't need to prove your worth. Detach from performance-driven self-esteem. Your value isn't earned, it's remembered. The more you try to earn what you already are, the more exhausted you become. Detachment returns you to being free from the pressure of perfection and the burden of pretending. Even your desires can control you if you chase them from lack. Detachment allows you to want without needing, to move toward your vision with joy, not desperation. When you are whole within you, desire from abundance, not from emptiness. And that difference is the magnetism that draws your desires to you. Detach from urgency. The rush to be somewhere else, to have more, to be more. This is a trap. Time expands when you are present. Life responds when you slow down. Detachment from the clock doesn't make you lazy, it makes you available to divine timing. And that timing is always perfect, even when it's not fast. Detach from the illusion of control. You cannot control people, the future, or external events, but you can control your frequency, your focus, and your responses. That's where your power lives. And from that place, you influence the world not through force, but through alignment. Detach from judgment. When you stop needing to label every moment, person, or feeling, you begin to see things as they are not, as your fear paints them. Judgment is resistance. Detachment is acceptance. And through acceptance, clarity enters, peace follows. Detach from the need to be understood. Not everyone will get your path, your choices, or your growth. That's okay. Your job isn't to be understood. It's to be authentic. When you stop explaining yourself, you conserve energy. That energy then becomes available for creation, expansion, and freedom. Detach from the chase. When you believe something is outside of you, you run after it. But the moment you realize you are the source, you stop chasing and start choosing. Detachment reveals this truth. What you seek is already within, and what aligns with that truth naturally finds its way to you. And finally, detach from the illusion that you are powerless. You are never meant to be ruled by your mind, your fear, your past, or anyone else's expectations. You are not here to be controlled. You are here to create. And the moment you detach from what once held you, you rise not as someone new, but as someone finally free. Detachment reveals your truest choices. When you no longer act from pressure, fear, or habit, you begin to act from clarity. Most people think they are choosing freely, but in truth, they are reacting. Detachment clears the fog of emotional entanglement, social programming, and mental loops, so you can see what you actually want, not what you were told to want. To detach is to observe without identifying. When a thought arises, you can watch it like a passing cloud instead of becoming the storm it carries. This shift from identification to awareness is the foundation of all liberation. The mind will always speak, but when you detach from believing every thought, you access a level of freedom most never find. Attachment often hides behind noble names: love, loyalty, hard work. But when love becomes possession, loyalty becomes self-abandonment, and work becomes identity. Attachment controls you. Detachment doesn't strip these values, it purifies them. It returns love to freedom, loyalty to integrity, and work to expression. Your goals can become prisons if they stop serving your soul. You may chase a version of success that no longer resonates simply because it's what you once declared. But when your inner truth evolves, so must your attachments. Detachment allows you to outgrow old dreams without guilt and step into alignment without delay. Control is often a mask for fear. The more afraid you are of uncertainty, the tighter you try to grip. But no amount of control can guarantee safety. Life is inherently unpredictable. Detachment means releasing the illusion that safety lies in certainty and instead learning to build safety within your own presence and peace. The need to always be right can control your growth. When you are attached to being correct, you close yourself to feedback, evolution, and humility. Detachment allows you to listen, learn, and let go of outdated views. In doing so, you expand. You become more interested in being free than in being right. Detach from image. When your sense of identity is tied to how others see you, you become enslaved by their opinions. The need to appear a certain way, successful, spiritual, strong, can become a mask that suffocates your authenticity. Detachment lets the mask fall. You become real, raw, and aligned. Your triggers reveal what still controls you. If someone's words or actions can pull you out of peace, there is a tether within you that remains unhealed. Detachment is not avoiding these moments, it's using them. Every time you're triggered, ask, what am I holding on to that I need to release? That question is the key to freedom. Detach from being needed. Sometimes we stay in toxic dynamics because we feel useful. We confuse being needed with being valued, but your worth is not measured by your sacrifice. Detachment allows you to love others without losing yourself in their problems. You support from overflow, not from depletion. Even healing can become an identity that controls you. If you always see yourself as healing, you delay your wholeness. Detachment means knowing when to release the story of pain and step fully into the energy of completion. You are not broken. You are becoming. And becoming requires letting go of the version of you that's always fixing. The past may no longer hurt you, but your attachment to it can. When you rehearse the old stories, you keep your nervous system trapped in outdated loops. Detachment doesn't erase memory. It removes the charge. You can honor the past without reliving it. You can carry the wisdom without carrying the wound. Detach from needing closure from others. Not everyone will apologize, explain, or make things right. Waiting for them to do so keeps you energetically bound to the pain. Detachment means you choose closure. You decide to complete the chapter even without their cooperation. Your peace is your responsibility. Detach from hustle culture. Productivity is not the same as purpose. Constant motion is not the same as alignment. Detachment means you rest without guilt, slow down without fear, and create from inspiration, not obligation. You no longer chase time. You work with it from a place of internal rhythm. Detach from the belief that more is always better. More money, more followers, more results. These goals can become hollow if they're driven by lack. Detachment teaches that quality, alignment, and presence matter more than quantity. True success is not how much you have. It's how whole you feel while having it. Let go of needing certainty in relationships. When you cling to a person because of fear, not connection, you distort the relationship. Detachment allows love to breathe. It honors the other person's freedom and strengthens your own. In that space, love either deepens or dissolves, but it always reveals the truth. Detach from your timeline. Life doesn't always unfold according to your plans. Detachment teaches you to trust divine timing. What seems delayed may be a hidden gift. What didn't happen may have been protection. You stop forcing life to hurry and start walking with it moment by moment in faith. Detach from the critic in your mind, that voice that says you're not enough, that questions every decision, that repeats fears from your past. It isn't you. It's programming. Detachment means observing that voice without obeying it. You learn to hear it without believing it. And that is a radical act of inner freedom. Detach from the highs. Not every moment will feel magical. If you chase constant euphoria, you'll fear the stillness. Detachment allows you to sit with the ordinary and find peace in presence. You stop needing life to thrill you and start appreciating life for simply being. That is where true contentment grows. Detach from what others owe you. Expectations are often silent contracts that others didn't agree to. When you release them, you stop holding others responsible for your emotional state. Detachment doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. You give freely, love fully, and allow others to be exactly who they are. And in the end, detachment is not the absence of passion, it is the absence of bondage. It allows you to move through life with an open heart and a steady mind. You no longer need to grip, chase, or control. You walk free. You live true. And in that space, life flows to you not because you force it, but because you finally stop needing to. Chapter 11. The frequency of truth. Truth is not an idea. It is a frequency. You don't just know it intellectually. You feel it in your body, in your breath, in your being. Truth doesn't need to shout. It hums with clarity. When something is true, it brings stillness to the chaos and resonance to the confusion. It doesn't always make sense to the mind, but it always brings peace to the soul. You've been trained to seek truth through facts, logic, and consensus. But the deepest truths are not taught. They are remembered. They arise from within when you quiet the noise and listen to the vibration of your own knowing. The frequency of truth is not external validation. It is internal recognition. You've felt it before, that deep quiet, yes, that feeling that something just fits. Even if you can't explain why. That's the frequency of truth. It may not be loud or dramatic, but it's consistent. It doesn't waver with opinion or fear. When you learn to trust that frequency, you stop seeking answers outside of yourself. The truth doesn't always feel comfortable at first. In fact, it often disrupts what you thought was safe. It asks you to let go of what you've outgrown and step into what you're becoming. But even in discomfort, truth brings liberation. It doesn't trap you, it frees you. It doesn't bind, it breaks illusions. The frequency of truth is steady. It doesn't bend for convenience or conform to pressure. That's why in a world full of noise and narratives, truth stands still. It remains unchanged even when everything around it shifts. And those who tune into it become anchored, grounded, and unshakable. Your body knows truth faster than your mind. A deep breath, a relaxed chest, a settled guttus are signs of resonance. Tension, anxiety, and resistance are signs of dissonance. When you pay attention to your body, you realize it's a living compass for the frequency of truth. It never lies, you just have to listen. Truth doesn't compete. It doesn't try to convince. It simply is. Leaves scream for attention. Truth sits quietly and waits for you to recognize it. And when you do, it feels like coming home, like remembering something you didn't know you forgot. That moment of recognition is a vibrational shift. It changes everything. Living in truth isn't about being right. It's about being real. It means aligning your actions, words, and energy with your inner knowing. The congruent you are, the more powerful you become. The frequency of truth amplifies your presence, sharpens your intuition, and magnetizes what's aligned. There's a difference between what is true and what is familiar. Many people stay attached to familiar patterns, mistaking them for truth. But just because something is comfortable doesn't mean it's right. Detaching from familiarity opens the space for truth to rise. And that truth often speaks through silence. Truth has a tone. It can't be faked. You can feel it in someone's voice, in their energy, in their eyes. When someone speaks from truth, even if it challenges you, you respect it. Because the frequency cuts through ego, it speaks directly to your core. That's why real truth feels both confronting and comforting. You cannot access truth if you're constantly lying to yourself. Avoidance, denial, and pretending disconnect you from your own power. The more honest you are with yourself, the more clearly you perceive everything around you. Truth starts with radical self-honesty. It begins where the masks end. The truth is not relative, it's layered. What feels true at one level of consciousness may evolve as you expand. This doesn't mean the old truth was wrong. It simply means you've accessed a deeper layer. As you grow, your resonance changes and new levels of truth become available to you. Truth doesn't require suffering. You don't have to break down to break through, but often it is pain that strips away illusion and makes you receptive. The gift of pain is that it humbles the ego and softens the mind, making space for truth to be heard. Once it's heard, healing can begin. The frequency of truth heals. It clears confusion, untangles the mind, and restores coherence to the body. That's why speaking your truth, even if your voice shakes us, an act of liberation. Every time you align with truth, you reclaim energy you didn't know you lost. Truth is your energetic home. Society often punishes truth tellers. It rewards conformity and punishes authenticity. But the real cost of silencing your truth is internal. You may gain approval, but you lose alignment. And without alignment, there is no peace. Living your truth may cost comfort, but it buys freedom. Truth simplifies life. It cuts through drama, eliminates guesswork, and clarifies decisions. You stop overthinking because you already know. When you act from truth, even hard decisions become clear. You may feel fear, but not confusion, because truth doesn't complicate, it clarifies. To raise your frequency, you must align with truth. No affirmation, meditation, or visualization can override self-deception. Energy responds to congruence. If your words say one thing but your energy says another, the field listens to your energy. Alignment begins with inner honesty. Truth connects. When you speak from it, others feel seen. When you live in it, others feel safe. The frequency of truth invites transparency, vulnerability, and trust. It dissolves masks and allows for real connection, not through performance, but through presence. Truth has timing. Just because you know something doesn't mean it must be shared immediately. Wisdom is knowing when and how to deliver truth in a way that heals rather than harms. The frequency of truth is powerful, but when mixed with compassion, it becomes transformative. Avoiding truth delays destiny. You can circle the same lessons for years simply because you refuse to face what is. But the moment you surrender to what's real, your path accelerates. The universe responds to authenticity, and when you align with the truth, life aligns with you. And in the end, truth is not something you find, it's something you become. It's the state of being where nothing is hidden, nothing is forced, and everything flows. When you live in truth, your energy becomes pure, your vision becomes clear, and your presence becomes undeniable, because truth in its highest form is freedom, and freedom is your natural state. When you align with the frequency of truth, your intuition sharpens effortlessly. You no longer have to analyze every detail or overthink every decision. Your inner compass guides you. It feels like a quiet but firm yes or no in your body. The more you trust that internal sensation, the more life starts unfolding with precision and flow without needing constant proof. Truth dissolves inner conflict. The tension you feel when you're torn between choices is often a sign that you're negotiating with what you already know deep down. When you finally commit to what you know is right, even if it's hard, you feel a release. That release isn't weakness, it's alignment. Truth removes the friction between your soul and your choices. The frequency of truth has a vibration that cannot be distorted. When you begin to live from this place, even lies told to you by others begin to lose power. You sense when something is off. You feel it before it's spoken. That's not paranoia, it's perception. Truth doesn't just speak, it listens deeply, and when tuned in, you can feel it in everything. You must be willing to lose things that were built on lies. This is the part many people avoid. When you raise your frequency to match truth, anything that doesn't match will start to fall away. Relationships, jobs, routines. But what remains is solid, real, and deeply aligned. The shedding is not a punishment, it's a purification. Truth exposes not to shame, but to liberate. It reveals what you've been avoiding, where you've been settling, and who you've been pretending to be. But in that exposure, you find clarity. You begin to see where your energy has been leaking, where your life has been misaligned, and from that clarity, you rise stronger. To speak the truth is to activate your throat chakra center of authentic expression. Many people feel a tightness in the throat because they've been suppressing their voice for too long. When you begin to speak honestly, not just kindly, you release that energetic block. Expression becomes not just communication, but healing. Living in truth doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're real. It means you don't wear masks to protect a false identity. You admit when you're wrong, you ask for what you need, you say no when something doesn't resonate, and in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. Truth creates space for authenticity in all directions. There is truth that soothes and truth that stretches. Both are sacred. Sometimes the truth you need is a gentle reminder of your worth. Other times it's a blunt mirror that shows where you've been shrinking. Don't fear either. The frequency of truth only shows you what you're ready to see, and what you see you can change. Truth dismantles illusions. Every time you align with it, you break a piece of the false matrix. That's why speaking your truth can feel like rebellion, because it disrupts the script you were given. But that disruption is divine. It breaks the loop of unconscious living, and reconnects you with your power to choose. When you lie to yourself, even subtly, your body feels it. Fatigue, anxiety, mental foggies can all stem from living in contradiction. Your energy is trying to hold together a false reality, and it's exhausting. The moment you return to truth, even if it requires change, you feel relief. Because truth aligns your mind, body, and soul. Your truth is not universal, but it is valid. What resonates for you may not resonate for someone else. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're aligned with your unique path. The frequency of truth is not one size fits all. It's personal, and honoring your version of truth is essential for inner peace. Sometimes your truth changes, not because you lied, but because you've evolved. What once felt true may now feel limiting. This is growth. Truth is alive. It breathes with you, matures with you, and deepens as your awareness expands. Stay flexible. Let your truth be current, not outdated by your former self. Tuning into the frequency of truth allows you to move without seeking constant reassurance. You stop asking everyone else what to do because you trust your own insight. That self-trust is priceless. It comes not from arrogance, but from consistent practice of listening inward and honoring what you find. Living in truth simplifies your energy field. You stop leaking energy through pretending, pleasing, and performing. Every time you make choices that reflect your inner reality, you reclaim scattered energy. This consolidation of energy gives you strength, clarity, and magnetic presence. It draws aligned people and experiences into your life naturally. The more you speak truth, the more you attract truth. Honest people, clear conversations. Authentic opportunities begin to appear. That's because your vibration becomes a filter. What no longer resonates will fade, and what's meant for your current frequency will rise to meet you. This is the unseen order truth brings. You may fear the consequences of telling the truth, but what you should really fear is the cost of suppressing it. Living in silence drains the soul. It dulls your passion, clouds your vision, and disconnects you from purpose. The moment you choose truth, you reconnect to your fire, and from that fire, creation begins. Truth doesn't need to be aggressive. It can be firm and kind at the same time. When you speak from love, not ego, your words carry wisdom. The intention behind your truth matters. Speak to liberate, not dominate. Speak to illuminate, not belittle. The frequency of truth is clean, free from manipulation or superiority. You must get comfortable with the discomfort truth brings. Not everyone will like it. Some may walk away. But the price of authenticity is always less than the cost of suppression. You can either live for their comfort or your liberation. Truth asks you to choose and rewards you with alignment when you do. The deepest truth is not what you speak, but what you embody. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligning, you radiate truth without saying a word. People feel it. They trust you, not because you're flawless, but because your energy is honest. Truth becomes your frequency, not just your statement. And when you fully embrace the frequency of truth, you don't just live differently, you vibrate differently. You move with integrity. You attract with clarity. You create from wholeness. Truth becomes your compass, your fuel, your protection, and your power. And in that frequency, you finally become who you were always meant to be. Knowing isn't enough. Wisdom is not measured by how many books you have read, but by how deeply you embody what you understand. You can memorize all the right principles, repeat all the right affirmations, and still remain stuck, because transformation begins where application begins. Real change happens when you live the truth, not when you just speak it. You already know what you need. You've consumed the information. Watch the videos, underline the quotes. But knowledge without embodiment is like light stored in a box. It holds no power until it's used. The mind collects, the soul requires integration. What you apply becomes real. What you don't becomes noise. People often chase more information because it delays responsibility. It's easier to keep learning than to start doing. But knowing what to do and not doing it is its own form of self-sabotage. The gap between knowledge and action is where most people stay stuck. Closing that gap is where freedom begins. Wisdom is practice. Practice. It's showing up even when it's uncomfortable. It's choosing alignment over old habits. It's pausing to breathe instead of reacting. Every time you apply what you've learned in real time, you solidify it. Growth doesn't happen through insight alone. It happens through repetition, choice, and courage. To live the knowledge means becoming it, not just on your best day, but especially on your hardest ones. It's easy to be spiritual in silence and solitude. It's harder to stay grounded when you're triggered, tested, or tired. But that's where embodiment is built. That's where the work leaves the mind and enters the body. Your nervous system needs more than ideas. It needs experiences. Reading about peace is not the same as practicing stillness. Understanding presence is not the same as choosing it in chaos. Knowledge feeds the intellect. Experience rewires the system. And only through living it do you become it. Embodiment is alignment. When your thoughts, words, and actions move in the same direction, your energy becomes clear. Congruence creates confidence. When you live what you know, you stop second-guessing. You become a walking vibration of truth. And that truth draws everything that matches it. You don't need another course. You need consistent action. The path forward is already within you. You just need to walk it. Clarity grows through doing. Confidence builds through showing up. Insight deepens through application. Life meets you at level of your embodiment, not your intellect. Stop waiting to feel ready. Embodiment isn't about perfection. It's about repetition. You stumble, you learn, you adjust. There's no shame in the process. The mistake is in not beginning. Start where you are with what you know and bring that knowledge into motion. Even small steps shift momentum. Information without embodiment leads to overload. You become bloated with potential, but empty of progress. The remedy is simplicity. Pick one truth, one lesson, one principle, and live it for a week. Let it guide your choices. Let it challenge your reflexes. Let it shape your energy. Knowing how to heal is different from choosing to. You can recite every healing mantra, attend every workshop, and still avoid the inner work. Living the knowledge means facing the wound, not just naming it. It means sitting with discomfort, not bypassing it. Healing begins when knowledge meets honesty. Discipline is devotion in motion. If you truly value the wisdom you've received, honor it through practice. Don't treat it like a collection. Treat it like a lifestyle. Whether it's presence, peace, compassion, or courage, your embodiment is the only proof you believe it. What you live is what you truly know. You teach others through your embodiment, not your advice, not your theories, but your example. When you walk your talk, your energy speaks louder than your words. People feel integrity. They notice alignment. You become a mirror reminding them of what's possible, not by telling them, but by being it. To live the knowledge means to build resilience, because it's not about always getting it right. It's about coming back to the practice every time you fall. Embodiment is not a straight line. It's a spiral. You revisit lessons again and again, but each time with more depth, more grace, more truth. You cannot think your way into transformation. You must feel, act, and integrate. The mind likes theory. The soul needs experience. Every time you move from knowing into doing, you shift from mental understanding into embodied wisdom. That shift is where the transformation truly begins. Live the truth in the small moments, in how you respond to others, in how you breathe during tension, in the words you choose when no one is watching. These moments build your energetic identity. Consistency creates character. When your habits reflect your wisdom, you become unshakable. Knowledge becomes wisdom when it's tested. You don't know if you've mastered patience until you're forced to wait. You don't know if you've embraced self-love until you're triggered by rejection. Life will always send opportunities to apply what you claim to know. Take them as invitations, not as threats. Living the knowledge changes your frequency. It shifts how you speak, how you move, how you interact with the world. You stop forcing and start attracting. You stop proving and start radiating. You stop explaining and start exemplifying. The more aligned you are, the more effortless life becomes. Embodying what you've learned unlocks your next level. Until then, you're circling the same truths, revisiting the same pain, repeating the same patterns. When you finally live what you've avoided, the doors open, the lessons deepen, the path clears. Embodiment is the bridge between learning and becoming. Every truth you've discovered was meant to be lived. You didn't just stumble across it for inspiration. You were called to carry it forward. Not just for you, but for the people who will be impacted by your embodiment. When you live the knowledge, you lead with energy, and that energy becomes your legacy. And remember, no one will do the inner work for you. Knowledge may find you, inspire you, even wake you up, but only embodiment can liberate you. Only when you choose to live the truth, to walk the path, to align the outer with the inner, only then does knowledge become power. Only then does transformation become real. There is a gap between inspiration and transformation, and that gap is action. You may feel deeply moved by what you hear or read, but unless you apply it, the spark fades. Embodiment is what turns temporary motivation into lasting momentum. Each time you act on a truth, it imprints on your nervous system and becomes part of who you are. Knowing what love is means nothing if you don't practice it in conflict. Knowing what forgiveness is means nothing if you still carry resentment. The tests of life are not there to punish you. They're designed to call your knowledge into form. They ask, will you live what you say you believe? That's where the real work begins. When you embody wisdom, your presence changes. You walk with quiet strength, not because you know everything, but because you live in alignment with what you do know. You don't speak to impress, you speak with purpose. People feel the difference. Embodiment doesn't need to explain itself. It resonates. The most profound shifts are subtle. They happen in your habits, in your choices, in your self-talk. It's not about grand declarations. It's about quiet consistency. Living the knowledge shows up in how you treat your time, your health, your energy. You stop talking about who you want to be and start being it. When you live the knowledge, excuses lose their power. You stop blaming circumstances and start building with what you have. You understand that alignment isn't dependent on your environment. It begins with your inner world. You create change not by waiting, but by becoming the version of you that lives the truth now. Living the knowledge requires discipline, not as punishment, but as sacred commitment. You show up even when it's inconvenient. You choose your higher self when your ego wants comfort. Every disciplined action affirms I am serious about my evolution. And over time, that seriousness becomes power. You will be tempted to retreat back into knowing, into gathering more concepts, more philosophies. But that's a trap. More information doesn't equal more growth. Wisdom only deepens when it's tested. You don't need another answer. You need the courage to live the one you already have. Live the knowledge even when no one else is watching. That's integrity. It's easy to act wise in front of others. But the truest measure of growth is how you behave when no one sees, when no one validates, when there's no audience to applaud your effort. Your private choices are what build public alignment. When you truly live the knowledge, your energy becomes medicine. People feel safer around you not because you preach truth, but because you embody it. You become a safe space, a lighthouse, a mirror. You don't just talk about peace, you carry it. You don't just describe love, you radiate it. The more you embody, the less you need to explain. You don't need to argue for your truth when you live it. Your results, your energy, your presence speak on your behalf. You stop convincing others and start becoming evidence of what's possible. That's the power of silent embodiment. Living the knowledge means being accountable. You stop saying that's just how I am and instead say this is what I choose to become. You stop defending your patterns and start observing them. Growth doesn't come from guilt. It comes from conscious responsibility. You reclaim your power by owning your part. You don't need to feel ready to live the truth. You need to feel willing to show up, willing to be uncomfortable, willing to make mistakes and keep going. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Every step taken from a place of willingness moves you closer to your truth. Apply your knowledge where it matters most in your relationships. Can you stay calm in disagreement? Can you hold space without fixing? Can you listen without preparing your rebuttal? Wisdom in theory is nice. Wisdom in conversation, conflict and connection. That's mastery. When you live your knowledge, the mind softens. It no longer needs to control every outcome because it trusts your deeper alignment. Anxiety fades, clarity grows. You begin to move from an inner knowing instead of mental effort. Your life becomes less about figuring things out and more about feeling what's right. You become magnetic when you embody truth, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. People are drawn to consistency. They can feel when your energy matches your words. That congruence is rare and powerful. It doesn't demand attention. It naturally attracts what's aligned. Every time you act on what you've learned, you teach your subconscious a new standard. You say, this is who I am now. That repetition becomes a new identity. You're not just thinking differently, you're becoming someone new. And the world mirrors that back to you through new opportunities, people, and experiences. Live the knowledge when it's easy, and especially when it's hard. When you're tired, when you're triggered, when your old patterns are screaming for attention, That's when embodiment matters most. Those moments are not setbacks. They're invitations to choose alignment over automation. Living the knowledge means creating rituals that support your truth. Morning silence, breath work, reflection, journaling. These are not luxuries. They are containers for embodiment. They help you ground your energy and live intentionally. Without these anchors, knowledge floats. With them, it roots. You stop needing to prove anything when you live the truth. You are no longer performing wisdom, you are embodying it. That shift is internal, but its ripple is visible. You become a calm force, a steady presence, and the world bends to meet your authenticity. And ultimately, living the knowledge is a sacred act of self-respect. You've worked hard to learn, to grow, to awaken. Don't let it stay in your mind. Bring it into your walk, your talk, your choices, your presence. That's when knowledge becomes transformation. That's when you stop just knowing and start becoming. Living the knowledge requires trust, not just in the wisdom itself, but in yourself to carry it. You must believe that what you've learned is within your capacity to embody. Doubt will whisper that you're not ready, that you're not perfect enough to practice it. But truth isn't waiting for your perfection. It's waiting for your participation. You won't always get it right, and that's not the point. Embodiment isn't about flawless execution. It's about committed intention. It's about catching yourself mid-reaction and choosing differently. It's about bringing awareness into moments where you used to act unconsciously. This is what real growth looks like, or honest and in motion. Living the knowledge means shedding the parts of yourself that only perform it. Maybe you used to say the right words, post the right quotes, look the part, but inside, something didn't resonate. That dissonance is a gift. It points you back to what matters most: authenticity. The work is not to appear wise, it's to live wisely. You stop outsourcing your power when you live what you know. You stop asking for permission to grow. You stop waiting for the world to validate your truth. Instead, you begin to validate yourself through aligned choices, conscious habits, and the quiet, steady voice within that says, "This is who I really am." The wisdom you've gained isn't random. It's sacred. Life gave it to you because you were meant to carry it forward. Not in theory, but in practice. When you embody that wisdom, you honor the teachers who planted seeds in you. You become the soil where those seeds take root and bloom. You cannot fake energy. People can sense when you're just repeating something you heard versus when you're living what you've learned. Embodiment has a weight, a depth, a frequency that can't be manufactured. It can only be earned through presence, consistency, and truth. When you live the knowledge, you build momentum. Every aligned choice reinforces the next. You begin to trust yourself more. Doubt lessens. And even when resistance arises, you don't retreat. You breathe, you ground, and you continue. This is the rhythm of mastery. Not speed, but presence in every step. You begin to understand that challenges are not interruptions. They're invitations. Each hard moment is a chance to embody what you've learned. Patience, resilience, compassion, boundaries. Shamo. They're not just ideas, they're muscles. And life is the gym where you practice strengthening them. Embodying wisdom softens your reactions. You stop being pulled by every trigger, every comment, every external fluctuation. You become responsive instead of reactive, calm instead of chaotic, intentional instead of impulsive. This isn't passive, it's power refined. Living the knowledge means honoring what you know, even when it's inconvenient. When the world pushes you to compromise, you stand firm in your truth. When others expect you to shrink, you stay expanded. This quiet rebellion is how you reclaim your life, not through noise, but through unwavering alignment. Every embodied truth becomes a part of your identity. It's no longer something you have to think about. It becomes automatic, like muscle memory. It lives in your breath, your posture, your tone, your choices. This is how change sticks. Not because you forced it, but because you lived it long enough to become it. You stop seeking shortcuts when you live the truth. There are no hacks for embodiment, no cheat codes for integrity, just daily choices, intentional breath, and honest self-checks. You start appreciating the slow, grounded path because you realize it builds something real, something that lasts. The deeper you embody, the clearer your boundaries become. You stop negotiating with what drains you. You no longer tolerate energies, people, or situations that pull you out of alignment. Your inner clarity creates outer structure. And through that structure, your life becomes a sacred space. Living the knowledge is a daily return. You drift, you forget, you fall, but you come back. That coming back is the path. Don't expect to live it perfectly. Just expect to live it honestly. Expect to return to truth more quickly each time. That return is the real work, and it's always available. You begin to feel your inner world stabilizing. You don't depend on others to regulate you. You don't collapse when plans change. You don't panic when the unknown arrives. Because you're rooted in something deeper. Your own lived truth, that inner rooting creates external resilience. You stop confusing motion with progress. Living the knowledge makes you intentional. You stop doing things just to stay busy. You ask, is this aligned before you act? And when it's not, you're strong enough to say no. That discernment protects your energy and sharpens your purpose. Every day becomes a sacred opportunity to embody, not just during rituals or practices, but in your driving, your talking, your working, your eating. Spirituality leaves the books and enters the body. It lives in how you move through the ordinary. Embodiment turns every moment into a mirror. Living the knowledge doesn't mean you'll never struggle. It means you'll struggle wisely. You'll fall with awareness. You'll rise with compassion. You'll navigate with humility. You'll forgive quickly and adjust often. Embodiment doesn't prevent the storm. It teaches you how to stand still inside it. You begin to inspire without effort. Your presence becomes a permission slip. You stop trying to change others and focus on your own alignment. And through that alignment, others shift naturally. This is the quiet power of embodied truth. It radiates far beyond the words you speak. And in the end, this is what it's always been about. Not collecting knowledge, but becoming the living expression of it. Not looking enlightened, but living with lightness. Not knowing the path, but walking it daily. Because knowledge alone changes minds, but embodied truth that changes lives, including your own. You didn't find this book by accident. It found you because you were ready to remember. Ready to see that reality isn't something that happens to you. It's something that responds to you. You were born with this power. You just forgot. But now every chapter you've heard is a key unlocking the truth that was buried beneath distraction, noise, and fear. You've been taught to look outside. This book calls you back inside, where your true power lives, where your frequency creates, where your alignment decides. So now walk forward, not with doubt, but with awareness. Because what you've just heard is more than information. It's a wake-up call to live like the creator you were born to be. This is your reminder. You are the signal. You are the source. You are the shift. And it all begins when you finally remember what was hidden,